Joan Crawford paid $7,500 for Regina Viscomi's engagement ring when they fell in love. She gave him back $5,000 when they fell out. He wants a bigger cut.
Order. All rise. Order.
Now, this is number 87 on the calendar in the matter of Crawford versus Viscomi. Seated, please.
I always get a little sad when I have a case involving an engagement ring because I never got one.
Oh.
That's true. I never got an engagement ring. You, however, Mr. Crawford, were engaged to the defendant according to your complaint, and you bought her this very pricey engagement ring that
Yes, Your Honor.
she picked out because she was in the diamond business or had an in the diamond business. You paid $7,700 for the engagement ring.
Yes,
right?
Your Honor.
And since you're here, we all know that the engagement went kaput. And now what to do with the ring. So far, right?
Correct.
Well, the ring has been sold.
All right.
2 years ago. Almost.
How long were you engaged, sir?
From November of '94, when we went to Palm Springs, and the date was going downhill from the moment we got engaged. And
That is a lie.
Well, he thinks it's going downhill. That's okay.
How can it go downhill when you just get engaged to be married? That is the happiest time of your life.
From the moment.
So how long were you engaged?
4 or 5 months.
March 13th, she returned a check to me for $5,000.
You were engaged for 4 or 5 months, and then you both decided that this wasn't working?
He decided.
She decided. It was going downhill from the day it started.
So if he decided and she decided, it sounds to me like you both decided. Is that
No, he decided.
You mean
Because
you hadn't a clue that things weren't going well?
No, I thought things were going well because February 14th, and I have the proof right here to show that I thought things were going well. I have love letters, I have cards, I have a Valentine's card to him 2 weeks before he called it off. I love you, a picture of us in a frame. I mean, I took the trouble to do that. Obviously, I thought things were going well.
Okay, so that's a couple of years ago. March.
Year and a half or so.
Okay. And you broke off this engagement, and she kept the ring, correct?
No, Your Honor.
Well, at that moment, she kept the ring.
She would not return it to me. Prior to...
Did you ask her for it?
Many times.
And what did she do?
On several, she stalled. On one occasion...
Just a second, you said something about a $5,000 check.
Yes, Your Honor.
When did she give you the $5,000 check?
I have a photocopy of the cashier's check, which she gave me for $5,000 dated March 13th.
May I see it, please?
Yes. When I asked for the ring, she says, this is what you're going to get, and be glad that's all you're getting.
March 13th, 1995.
Instead of returning the ring to me.
Oh, okay. So you took this $5,000 check, Mr. Crawford, and you returned it to her and said, I don't want your $5,000. I want the ring back because the engagement is off. Is that what happened?
I held on to the check for about 10 days because I didn't know what to do with it.
And then you returned it to her?
And then I deposited it into my checking account.
So 2 years ago, you took the $5,000, you put it in your checking account, and either you saved it or you spent it.
I paid off the loan from the credit union.
Okay.
I felt that I shouldn't be penalized every month with a bill as a result of the relationship. Well, she had a nice, pretty diamond ring.
I absolutely agree with him that when the engagement terminated, you should have returned the engagement ring to him. But you accepted $5,000, sir, in payment for that ring. You didn't mark this in partial payment of $7,700. You accepted it, you cashed it, and you used it to pay off the credit union, to do whatever. Something must have happened within the intervening 2 years that brought you here today.
Well, I'd like to tell you. What happened was that night, March 13th, I told Miss Viscomi I was going to take her to small claims court for the
You did not.
for the $2,700. That moment, she says, "Go ahead." I have a copy.
So she said, "Go ahead." So what happened?
She was renting my condominium at the time, and I have a copy of the
Just
lease.
tell me. Put all the papers down.
She says, "Go ahead and take me to small claims court. The rent is $900. You take me to court, I'm going to stop paying rent on you. It'll take you 3 to 4 months to get your money out from losing or loss of rent."
You were coerced into not pursuing a legal remedy that you had for the ring because you were afraid she was not going to pay rent on the condo that she was living in. Is that what you're
Yes.
saying to me? All right, so that's March. So let's say, should she stay there 4 months?
No.
Look at me. How long did she stay there after that?
From March of 95 just until August of 96.
Well, that's a long time. Did she pay your rent?
Yes.
So then you waited for her to move out, and then you decided to pursue the ring.
Yes, I never
Because-
forgave her for that.
Judge Judy will return in a moment. Raymond Crawford paid $7,500 for Regina Viscomi's engagement ring when they fell in love. She gave him back $5,000 when they fell out. He wants a bigger cut.
Now, I'll hear from you.
Thank you. Your Honor, a month after he broke up with me, we got back together. And we were together for another year. And we slept together, and we were together, and we did ski trips, and we did this, and we went to the Caribbean, and we went to Maui, and we did all these fun things. And he never once brought that ring up.
Is that true, sir?
For the time we dated once a month, it started once a week, once a
Is
month.
that true?
The commitment time was September on the cruise of 95.
I'm not talking about the commitment time. I'm talking about after the ring was returned, you got your $5,000 from her. She says that after that time, you renewed your relationship, even though it wasn't an engagement relationship. I assume you weren't wearing the ring, correct?
Correct.
And you went on trips together, you were intimate with each other. Is that true? That requires a simple yes or no.
Yes.
And that was for about a year?
Yes, and she dated other people at the time.
That's fine. Okay. Now, where's the ring?
I sold the ring.
For how much?
Well, I sold it
Now
for...
look at me. Look at. No, don't look over there. Don't look over there. Don't look at your toes. Look over here.
Okay.
Right here. How much did you sell the ring for?
$7,000. And I owed my ex-boss, which Ray knows exactly about, a commission of
could you sell?
$1,000.
Listen
Anything
to me.
about it.
How could you stand there and tell me? That doesn't mean that you're going to win or lose. But how could you stand there and tell me that you got a great deal on this ring because you were in the business when it was bought? You said in your answer, which I read very carefully, that you put your blood and sweat into finding just the right ring and getting just the right diamond
That's
and just
true.
the right stone for the best value. So how can you tell me that within a relatively short period of time you sold the ring for less than what you paid for it?
Because the ring was a bad memory and I wanted to get rid of it, and I wanted to get rid of it fast. I did not want any other woman to be wearing my engagement ring, which I did go downtown to LA twice, looking for this ring, looking for the diamond, finding the perfect ring, and Ray didn't invest any time or energy on this with me.
Do you think that it's fair, what's right, for him to have paid $7,700 for it on the assumption that you were going to marry? The contract of marriage was broken. In my opinion, what the state of the law is or should be, that if a gift is made in contemplation of getting married, like an engagement ring, and if that agreement is broken, the ring should be returned. Now, you may have felt some inner feeling about not wanting somebody else to wear a ring that you spent your time and effort in locating the perfect stone. You didn't take it and throw it in the Pacific. What you did was you sold it. And you sold it for $7,000. Now, he's paying off the $7,700. You have $7,000. Do you think that that's fair?
I do, and
Well,
I'll tell
then
you
I'd
why.
like to hear your
I'll
rationale.
be more than happy to tell you. Okay, if Ray were to sell the ring on his own, in any consignment situation or off the street when a couple walks into us and they say, hey, this engagement fell through, the marriage is over, we're divorced, give me some money for this ring. In most cases, 9 out of 10 cases, they get 33% of the value of the ring. So I thought that $5,000 was more than fair. And I had to give $1,000 to Glenn Bain, who was my employer at the time, as a commission.
Where's the paperwork?
So,
What kind of commission?
because Glenn felt, and you know this, Ray, Glenn felt that because I was getting such a good deal, because I was his employee, that he should get some sort of kickback for giving me the contacts in the industry, the diamond brokers, the vendors, all the people downtown, which I thought that that would have been a fair thing to do. So at the time of sale, I gave him $1,000, okay, and I kept $1,000 because I took the time, 2 days off of work, and look what I'm doing here today. My store is closed. I don't
understand this. You had...
So I kept $1,000, Judge, Your Honor.
But that's,
First
first
time
of
I
all,
heard of it.
if I believe you, that's $1,000 you're not entitled to. If I believe you. Because he paid for it, and there's no reason for you to have $1,000.
Judge Judy is ready to rule. Stay tuned. Raymond Crawford paid $7,500 for Regina Viscomi's engagement ring when they fell in love. She gave him back $5,000 when they fell out. He wants a bigger cut.
But what I'm still not able to rationalize in my mind with all of these wonderful connections, and you seem like a very smart business lady to me. You're in a business now, right? What kind of business?
Correct.
What kind of business?
Jewelry business.
Jewelry business. So you're in the jewelry business, and what you're telling me is you emotionally just wanted to get this ring out of your life, out of your room. So this great deal that you got, which required you giving $1,000 commission to your then boss because they introduced you to all the right people. So you got this $10,000 diamond, which you say it's insured for $10,000 or praised for $10,000. You got this great buy. You went and sold it, smart businesswoman that you are, for $7,000, less than what he paid for it. I don't believe you, madam.
Okay.
I don't believe you. In all fairness, why should he be out the money?
Because he hurt me. He ended our relationship.
Well, Judge,
I mean, and it was my
Order.
ring. It was given to me as a gift.
no, it's given to you in contemplation of getting married.
Okay, I thought, and I did read this in Ann Landers one time, that if he breaks up with you, then you're entitled to keep the ring. That is something
Let me tell you something. I have tremendous regard for Ann Landers. I wouldn't base my legal future on advice that I read in Ann Landers. Now, if I were writing a column, I would bet my legal future on that. You owe him the money. I don't believe that you gave your boss $1,000 commission. My original thought in this case, quite frankly, was you took the $5,000 and you took it really in full satisfaction of the ring. I've had second thoughts. Even I can have second thoughts. I don't see why the defendant should be enriched on your back.
Thank you.
If I believe that you gave your boss $1,000, I would say you only owe him $1,000. I don't believe you gave your boss $1,000. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. Step out, please.
I'm happy that I didn't receive the total amount, and that's what the judge did not listen to. Where's the papers
Ring's
on the
gone,
ring?
just
Where's
like
the
you are.
papers?
You're at
Versus Urbina. Step forward, please.
Armand Pisano says his best friend, Al Urbina, cheated him out of their vacation photos. Now, he wants him to pay for another trip to Mexico to take new pictures.
What an interesting case. You two old friends were on a vacation together, according to the complaint that I have. And you were out having lunch someplace, and you met some dentists from Virginia.
Correct.
And you all took some pictures together. So far, correct?
Absolutely.
Right? Right?
That is correct, yes.
And then, sometime later, the dentist sent you copies of the pictures.
Me.
You.
Correct.
You took those pictures, and what'd you do with them?
I put them up on my wall right next to my desk.
And then, Mr. Urbina, you came to visit your friend.
That is correct.
And you saw the pictures.
Yeah, I saw the pictures right there. That is correct.
And,
But I did not take him like he said I did.
well, what did you say to him?
Well, I came before. let me just say this, okay?
No, don't say anything. What did you say to him about the pictures? Did you say, can I borrow the pictures?
I did tell him, can I borrow the pictures, and I will return them.
Okay. That's what he says.
Absolutely.
And then you gave him the pictures that you had framed so that he could
They weren't framed. They were just kind of pin stuck on a cardboard type of a, or the cork thing.
Corkboard.
Yeah, corkboard.
So you took them off the corkboard, and you said, sure, take them, make copies.
Yeah.
And you took them. And then you didn't return them, correct?
Correct.
So now you're suing. There are 4 photographs?
I never knew exactly how many he took, but apparently it was 4. Yeah.
4 photographs. You say you want, let me understand this, $3,000 for these 4 photographs for the following reason: that you somehow became attached to the photographs and the dentist from Virginia.
Absolutely.
And you want him to pay for the dentist from Virginia to be flown up here in order to go back and revisit this place where you took the photographs, to retake the pictures so that you have a nice copy of those pictures again.
You're almost correct.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that I was reading this thing right.
No, I want to fly them to Mazatlan, Mexico, to retake those pictures, because that's where those pictures were taken.
To Mexico, you want him to go to the dentist to go to Mexico.
Absolutely.
To take the pictures again. Understanding, of course, that Mr. Urbina, who is now not talking to you, is not going to be in the pictures.
Which would even be better.
Because the reason he wanted the pictures is because, Mr. Urbina, you were in the pictures too.
That is correct.
Now, why didn't you return the pictures to him that you borrowed?
Well, the pictures were sent to him to share with me, and he never said anything to me. He had them on the wall, showing to all of his friends. I never knew. When I came to the office one day, I saw the pictures right there.
So you think he should have called you and said you got the pictures?
If he's such a good friend, he could have said, Al, look, I got some pictures I want to share with you. He never said that. Not only did he say that, look, there's a duplicate of the picture. He could have given me one of these at least.
So, but you said you wanted to borrow the pictures. Why didn't you just borrow them, make copies, and give them back?
Yeah, I did borrow, but it really got me mad. They're such a good friend that we are, okay? And he never did say anything. To give you an idea, I know he's an attorney. I know he's got some fancy work. He probably knows the law better than I do.
He doesn't know the law better than I do.
Judge Judy will return in a moment.
Mr. Urbina, let me tell you what the cutest line, and I use the word cute respectfully, sir, in your answer to this complaint was. Let me read it. It says that he could have talked to your wife and persuaded her to talk to me. Okay? Now,
that is true.
That you put me. So if your wife had talked to you and said, stop being such a hothead, give him the pictures, you would have given him back the copies of the pictures? Is that what you're saying?
It's a possibility, okay?
All right, let me tell you this.
But he was a baby.
Let me tell you this.
He wasn't talking to me at all.
Mr. Paisano, he wasn't talking to you because you did the wrong thing. You took the pictures and then you got mad after you got them home. You said, I'm not giving them back.
Can I make one statement?
No. Yeah, one statement fast.
He thinks that possession is 9/10 of the law. He thinks this is cowboy justice, that he can just take the pictures and boom, they're his. And
I'm going to give you, Mr. Paisano, a little cowboy justice. How do you like that? I got your exhibits. I got his exhibits. Here are your pictures, negatives, all for you. This case is dismissed. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. Step out, please. Thank you. Step out. Strong. All parties on Green versus Strong. Step forward, please.
Actor Otto Green says producer Willie Strong published an explicit photo of him, and now he wants Willie censored.
Mr. Green, your complaint states that you had a contract with the defendant, Mr. Strong, to perform in an adult kind of video.
Yes, Your Honor.
The agreement provided that you were going to be paid $1,000 for this performance. You went to the set. You didn't perform. You didn't get your $1,000, but about a year later, you found that your picture was used without your permission on the box of an adult video that he made, and you're suing for $1,000 for breach of that contract.
Yes, Your Honor.
We'll get to your response to that in a minute.
Thank you, Your Honor.
How did he get this photograph of you in the first place?
When I had first got to the location, he told me to go on in. We're up to your scene now. We just finished shooting the scene. We're ready for you. So go in, and if you need to warm up with a lady, fine. So I did that.
And so what happened? Were you in the film or were you not in the film?
I was in the film, yes.
Did you get paid?
No, I did not.
You're holding something in your hand. What are you holding in your hand?
This is the cover of the film.
So glad I'm over 21. Can I see it, please?
On the reverse side, I'm in
Where are you?
to the far left.
Yeah, where are you?
Well, would you take it back to him and let him point out where he is? Shh. Ladies and gentlemen.
That's wait, no.
Did you use him in your film?
Yes, Your Honor. I intended to use him in the film.
Did you use him in your film, sir?
No, ma'am, I didn't use him in the film.
Did you use him on the cover of the film? Is what? A yes or a no?
Yes.
Well, then you owe him some money.
No.
Why?
Because what he said was not true. What he did, he came in with a Superman's outfit on, all right?
Why didn't you use him?
Because he could not perform.
Well, that's pretty much what he... Is that what you're saying, sir, that there was some problem with your performance?
Right, there was a monetary
No,
conflict.
it wasn't a monetary, Your Honor. It was he could not perform.
Is that true? Yes or no?
Yes, I chose not to because we had conflicts about how much the pay would be.
That's some control, sir.
Judge Judy will return in a moment.
Let me ask you this question, sir. You know that photograph, you're looking at that photograph of you, and I just looked at that photograph. You can't see your face in that photograph. Perhaps somebody that knows you well could see this part of your face and say, well, that is Mr. Green. Quite frankly, I don't think that the general public looking at that would say that it's Mr. Green, but he did use your photograph, and you used his photograph, sir, without his permission if you didn't pay for it. Yeah. Quiet and listen. You can't exploit someone by using a photograph of them without giving them some kind of compensation.
Your Honor, in this particular picture, basically, I've got a model release. Now, like you said...
Now, listen, he didn't sign... This is a business. You're in a business.
This is a business,
listen,
Your Honor.
You're in a business.
The woman where he got his face at, the woman that I'm using...
Yes.
Here's her model release. So we chose to use that particular woman. I got to witness it.
No, listen to me, sir. You're not following me.
Right.
And I want you to follow me. You're in business.
Right.
You did something wrong, sir. You published a picture of him, and you didn't pay him for the picture. You would not like it if someone took your videos, went to a room, made 3,000 copies of it, and you wouldn't get a penny from those 3,000 copies because someone was pirating your films. You wouldn't like that. Well, someone pirated his likeness to use on this box in order to entice people to buy the video. That's why you used his picture. It is his picture. He's entitled to be compensated for it, and I am compensating him for it in the amount of $500. Thank you very much. That's all.
Step out, please.
Short. All parties on Kadice versus Short. Step forward, please.
Honey Kadice says he was just getting gassed when Horatio Short says he was being rude. A fight broke out, a windshield got smashed, and one of them's gonna pay.
Order. All rise. Order. All rise, please.
Your Honor, this is number 68 on the calendar in the matter of Kadice versus Short. Be seated.
So, it says in your complaint, sir, that you got into a fight with this gentleman at a mini-mart gas station, and that as a result of that fight, he damaged your car to the tune of $1,400. He smashed out the back window of your car.
Yes.
I'd like you to tell me how this started.
Okay. One morning I was going to work. I pulled into an AM/PM, parked my car. I went inside, paid the cashier.
For the gas?
For the gas. walking outside, trying to walk outside to, towards my car. This guy here came just rushing into the door.
That's not true, Your
Just a
Honor.
minute, let him
That's
tell
not
me. I'm
true.
going to get to you.
We bumped shoulder to shoulder, and I'm saying, like, excuse me, and he said, you moron.
That's not true. I never said a word to him. He's lying.
And the cashier heard him saying that, and it's in
Don't
the
tell me what the
report.
cashier heard. So that's
Okay?
what he said to you. So then what happened?
And then I said, what is your problem? I said, and he's like, he wants to fight at that point. He's just like
I
a
did
mad
not
guy.
want to fight him. I did not want to fight him.
And
I tried
then
to avoid that.
I said, I don't have time for you right now. I'm going to work. So I walk out to my car. I'm pumping my gas. Now, he paid for his gas, and he was walking out. And he came out, and he was passing by my car. And he's like, you
That's a lie. I never
This
said
is not-
anything.
this
to
is
him at
not
all.
a lie. He
Sir,
said
let him
that.
tell me
Okay.
that we're going to do this in an orderly fashion. Understood?
Okay.
You're not, because you're not serving your cause well by continuing to interrupt him.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So he said, you and he's just like walking to his car, and I said, what is your problem? And I just want to deal with this guy. He's just like a madman. I mean,
So
he's
what
just like
happened?
hot-tempered. And then he walks to his car, start pumping gas. I finish pumping my gas. I'm pulling out of the gas station. I'm passing by his car now to go out of the gas station. And then he goes and he raises his finger. I think he was giving me the finger.
That's not true. That's
so,
what he did.
So I was
That's what
just
he did.
about, I'm inside my car saying, what is your problem? And this guy, he just...
You want to show me again what you were saying and how you said, what is your problem?
It's like, I'm inside my car. It's like, what is your problem? Inside
Like
the
this?
car. Yeah. And he just came running to my car and just like bang on my windshield. I mean, the whole
Which
windshield blew
windshield?
up.
Unbelievable.
The back windshield.
Okay.
On the right side, on the passenger side.
But the back one.
The back one.
Okay.
And I have usually I have my baby sitting in that seat.
Baby wasn't there.
It wasn't there, but
all-
he could have been dead if she was there. And I usually take her to the babysitter at that time.
That's a shoulda, woulda, coulda. The baby wasn't there. The crown
Right.
jewels weren't there.
But
he
he
broke the
wouldn't
window.
would have paid for my baby if she's dead.
Sir, let me hear your side of the story.
Okay, Your Honor, like you said, this,
You're in
this
the mini.
incident...
You're going in to pay for gas. Let's start from there.
Okay, well, how the incident started was when I went to get gas. You know, when I came into the gas station, I'm going out to go to pay for the gas, and he comes flying into the gas station. That's the whole reason
Sir?
why.
I did not come
He
flying.
comes
to gas-
flying into the gas station. I yell out, "Slow down," because I have a couple of kids,
That's
and
not
I do
true.
not want. I
Sir,
don't see.
if you,
Yeah, I mean, you're not a policeman. I'm sorry.
You know,
You're
this,
not a-
this guy is
I'm
obviously.
not going to
you
tell
can
you. I told him 3 times.
Okay.
I was courteous to you, correct? Was I respectful to you?
Yes.
I expect you to be respectful to me. Now it's his turn to tell his side of the story. Understood?
So as I was going in there, he comes flying into the gas station. Like I said, I have 2 kids also, and I don't like to see some maniac
They weren't
coming
in the
into
car. Just
They
you
weren't. No,
were in
I
the
was
car.
by myself, but
Fine.
you know there could be other kids or other older people coming in. So this is just my personality. I just I can't deal with people like that flying into the gas station. So I told him, slow down. And so he got all jammed up about it. And as I was going into the
didn't see you
gas
talking
station,
to
he's
me.
coming out. He pushes me right out of the way. I says, "What's the problem?
How
What's
did
your
he push you
problem?"
right out of the way?
He took the
Out of the
door.
way.
He took the door and he just threw me out of the way like
Excuse
that.
me?
Just a second, sir.
And I said,
I
"What
did
is
not
your
Didn't you understand me?
I'm sorry.
And I told him, I said, "What is your problem?" And he says, "Well, what is your problem?" I said, "You come flying into the gas station. I told you to slow down." And so he says, he mumbled some other stuff. And so I went back to my car. My car was like, here's his car on this aisle. I'm 3 aisles down over here. It's crossed like this here. And so I'm parked over here. And several minutes went by as I'm pumping my gas, and he comes out of the gas station. He comes out of the gas station where you're entering the street, and he throws me the finger, and he throws something at me. So
I
I
did
run
not
out to
do
the
that.
street. As he's going out, he's out in the street now. He's right out in the street, the 3-lane street. And I run out there to get his license plate. And as I'm doing that, he slams on his brakes, and he comes backwards like he's going to hit me. So what are you going to do? I
He
push
broke
my
my
hands against
windshield.
the car like that to push back, and he says I smash his window. Of course I smash his window. It's a reaction that would occur if somebody's going to back up and try to hit you, correct? So this is what happened. And,
mean,
and
a reaction
then I
with
went
what?
back to my car. And he comes flying back into the gas station. He goes right in front of my car like this here, and he's looking for something in the seat. I don't know what he's got. I don't know
I
if
was
he's going to
looking for
shoot
my
me
cell phone to
or
call
what.
the
So I
911.
kicked his, I pushed his door back like that to get in my car, and I took off because I don't know if this guy's going to shoot me or what.
I went down
And
to
and the reason why his glass is broken, I told his insurance company that. They called me, and she says, "Wow, this that really makes sense." The guy, he
I'm not
slammed on the
interested in
brake.
what somebody else told you,
Okay,
sir.
but he slammed on the brakes and he came back real quick where I was right there and I went, whoa, I'm like that and I hit the car.
Judge Judy returns in a... Honey Kadice says he was just getting gas when Horatio Short says he was being rude. A fight broke out, a windshield got smashed, and one of them's gonna pay.
Your Honor, can
And,
I
it's,
Just a minute, who is
excuse
this?
me, ma'am.
This is my witness. He witnessed everything.
Who are you, sir?
Muhammad. He was pumping the gas next to my car.
Sir,
Never.
do you know either one of these two people from the past?
No, I saw him on the day of incident, and I saw him today.
So you don't know either one of these two gentlemen?
No, not
from
at all.
before. Would you step up here, sir? Would you tell me your name?
My name is Mohammed Dolatsi.
You were pumping gas at the gas station for your own car when this
Yes,
happened?
I finished pumping gas.
Tell me what you saw.
What I saw was not the whole story, but I saw from
From the time that you
from
saw
the time I saw this. I hate to say gentleman at this point. I saw him running in a very manic, in a very psychotic, uncontrollable.
Just tell me.
This is totally
listen to me.
ridiculous.
You can't tell me
Unbelievable.
manic psychotic. You a physician?
I work in a mental health field.
Okay.
I've seen many.
Sir, just tell
Order.
Okay.
Just tell me what you saw. He was running where?
I saw him attacking, smashing a backside of the windshield.
Tell me
with
how you
his,
saw him.
with his fist.
Tell me
Your
how you
Honor,
saw him.
he's seen me-
I
When-
want you to be quiet. I
When
want you.
this gentleman was trying to get out of the gas station, and I saw him smashing his windshield with his bare hand.
How did you see him do that?
I saw him. I running.
Was
I
he
saw him running.
hitting it
I was
several
next to the
times?
oil. I was next to.
How many times did he hit the windshield?
He hit the one side. He hit the windshield.
So-
The one blow did the job.
Was this gentleman backing up his car?
This gentleman backed up the car after his windshield was smashed.
He
backed up
the
after
car
that.
Why do you
He
think
backed up
I moved
after that.
my hands back out of the car?
Sir.
Because I didn't want to get hit by the
Sir.
car.
Sir,
He backed his car after his windshield was hit by him. Then he goes around towards the driver's side, and he tried to get out of the car, and he's pushing the car with his left hand, pulling the door,
Your Honor,
so that he
he's
should get.
talking about, excuse
he
me, Your
should-
Honor,
he-
could I interrupt you?
no,
He's
no,
talking
just
about,
a second.
He
No, you cannot interrupt. I'm listening to this
He was
gentleman.
blocking him to get out of the car, and I, with the other hand, because the window was more than half open, and he hit him with his fist on his face. I
Who
saw
did?
his glasses fell
Your Honor,
down.
he's lying. I never
Just a
touched.
second. Just a second, sir. So what you're telling me is that the car wasn't being backed up,
Unreal.
but that he smashed the window with his fist, and then he backed up the car.
Exactly.
And you don't know this gentleman from before.
No.
And you don't know this gentleman from
I
before.
first saw him, and this is the second time I
So
saw
how
him.
do you know I'm psychotic if you've never seen me
Sir,
before?
thank you very much. Have a seat. Thank you very much. Sit
Your
down,
Honor,
sir.
like I said, that is total. I don't know what he's seen, but I don't know how he could have seen it. I've never seen him around, anyways. And
You
when
were
he
too busy being furious,
No,
sir.
no,
Yes,
ma'am. No,
he was
ma'am.
very
No.
furious.
See,
Do I look like I need help from you?
I'm sorry.
You know what I think? I think it's a lot of testosterone. I think that you both, on that day, were having an overproduction of testosterone. I believe, sir, that what you did exacerbated his behavior. I think that you both acted badly.
Your Honor.
Just a second. But there's no question in my mind, sir, that you smashed the back window of his car.
Oh, there's no question. In
No question about it, and
I
that you
agree,
didn't
but-
do it in trying to protect yourself.
Oh, I was.
Oh, no,
I
you weren't.
honestly was.
Oh, no, you weren't. You know, I sat in the family court for a long time, and I heard children, 12, 13, 14 years old, maybe as old as your children, sir, telling me stories about how it was okay that they broke somebody's nose because the person didn't say, "Excuse me," when they bumped up against them. And I'd listen, and I would say, "Don't understand it. People are being murdered in the street because of some disrespect. Brushed by somebody, said, 'Excuse me,' brushed by somebody and didn't say, 'Excuse me.' You're acting as a policeman for the world, telling him to slow down and pulling in his car into the gas station. Listen, gentlemen, Consider yourselves both lucky. The only thing that got broken that day,
Your
sir,
Honor?
was the back windshield of your car. I don't believe, however, that you did absolutely nothing to exacerbate this. Do you know what I'm meaning? This term in your hand that you were doing? So I think he was giving you the finger a little bit. You were giving him the finger a little bit. You were disrespecting each other. That doesn't mean he acted appropriately. Do you understand?
Yes.
Your Honor?
It was. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay.
Your Honor?
I want. Hey!
Could I say a few more things?
It must be flowing again, sir.
Judge Judy is ready to rule. Stay tuned. Honey Kadice says he was just getting gas when Horatio Short says he was being rude. A fight broke out, a windshield got smashed, and one of them's gonna pay.
You were disrespectful to him, but he was being disrespectful to you. You were cursing at him a little bit. He was cursing at you a little bit. So far, does that sound vaguely familiar to you?
But that doesn't mean
Does
that
it,
doesn't.
does it sound familiar to
yes,
you?
Yes.
Well, that's real. So,
Yes.
you know, we don't want any more wars to solve the problems of men figuring out what to do with all this pent-up energy that they have. You acted inappropriately. You're responsible to the damage to his car. I think that you too, sir, have to know if you see somebody, sir, that doesn't appear to be in control of themselves, do the smart thing. Disappear silently. Never confront somebody that looks as if they're out of control, because you never know how out of control they're going to be.
Right.
You're absolutely right. Your child could have been in the back of that car.
Right.
Now, what I'm saying to myself is, would you have behaved differently that day if your child was in the car? Would you have done the same kind of confrontational things that you did to him, knowing that he wasn't acting rationally, if your child was in the car? And I wonder whether you would have thought twice about it. So I want you to understand that you didn't do the smart thing. You didn't do necessarily the wrong thing, but you didn't do the smart thing. So in the future, do the smart thing. The judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000, which I consider reasonable, for the windshield and for the lost time that he spent fixing it. This case is over. Bye.
Parties are excused. Step out, please.
I really think that that the justice has been done. So I believe in what the judge was saying. Everything what she was saying is true. I shouldn't have dealt with a maniac like this guy.
Don't point to me like you did that day, okay? Another thing, like the judge said in there, like I never swore to him. He's the one with the big mouth, the bad mouth, and he's the one that caused this whole situation.
Broke my windshield.
Just like he
Thank
is
you
right
very
now.
much.
Just like in my face.
Okay,
like you
I won, so you
know what I mean?
you lose.
No, I don't lose. You're gonna lose because you're a loser. I'm not a loser. I'm a winner. You're a loser.
Is there any final words
No,
you'd like to
just
share?
I'd rather not be anywhere near this character.
Rosa versus Morrow. Step forward, please.
Benzie De La Rosa alleges that Dino Morrow sexually assaulted her at the age of 14, and now she wants justice. Mr. Morrow says it's a lie.
Order. All rise. Order. Your Honor, this is number 73 on the calendar in the matter of De La Rosa versus Morrow. You may be seated.
Miss De La Rosa, I have all your papers here. I see you're upset. And before we start this case, because you're the plaintiff in this case, I want to ask you whether you want to continue with this case. Are you sure?
Yes.
You need a minute to compose yourself?
I'm fine.
You all right? Yeah. Okay. Let me first put in perspective what this case is about as I understand it. Ms. De La Rosa, you say that between February of 1991 and May of 1991, you were living in the home of the defendant and his wife. And you were there because you were having difficulty at home and were being abused at home. You say that in that period of time, that the defendant sexually abused you. That you were 14 years old at the time, and he was 30. Sometime after that, in about late 1991, early 1992, you reported the abuse to the authorities. And from all the paperwork that I have, and I'll discuss what paperwork I have in a moment, that case, that criminal case, was botched up procedurally. because the district attorney in that case failed to file certain papers in the right time, the top count in that case, which was rape, was going to be dismissed on speedy trial grounds. And I have the memorandum from your attorney in that regard, so that the district attorney in that case wrote to you and said, we've agreed to allow the defendant to plead guilty to a lesser charge of assault in the 4th degree with what is no jail time or time served. He may have spent initially a couple of weeks in jail. You are suing him now civilly for the emotional damage that he caused you during that period of time. So that's the procedural history of this case. Want to tell me what happened? First, why were you living with the Morrow family?
I was having some problems at my mom's house, and I was friends with his stepdaughters, Kathy and Terry. And I was talking to Kathy and Terry at school. I said, well, I'm having problems and I need a place to stay. So they talked to him, and he said, that's fine. And then after a while of living there, things started, him rubbing his front against my backside, I'm popping my back, him saying, well, you know, you're my world and you're my sunshine, and, you know.
How long were you living there before that started to happen?
About how long? About maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Go ahead.
And that stuff started happening. Then he asked, well, do you feel uncomfortable with this? I said, well, yeah. And then he gave me a kiss, not just a peck on the lips. And I was like, you know, shooken up about it. And then I thought about it, and I was like, well, you know, well, maybe I should do this, you know. And then he started taking me camping. He started keeping me home from school when his wife had to work, to have sex with me.
When you say sex, you mean intercourse?
Intercourse, all the way. Finally, I turned him in.
And then you spoke to the district attorney?
Yes.
And I have the district attorney's notes here on your first conversation. That was sometime in 1992 that you spoke to the district attorney. When for the first time, Mr. Morrow, did you speak to the district attorney?
Around 1994. I think it was May of
well,
9.
You did speak to someone from Child Protective Services before 1994.
Yes. I was,
when did you speak to someone from Child Protective Services?
while she was living in the home, there was a counselor that came out. We were trying to get her back into the home.
Back into her?
Into her home.
Mm-hmm.
And she
I'm
didn't want to
talking about
go.
when for the first time, sir, did you speak to Child Protective Services workers about the allegations that Ms. De La Rosa was making?
To my knowledge, I've never spoken to one.
So the first you heard of this case, are you telling me, was in 1994?
When they came into my residence and arrested me in the middle of the night.
And you hadn't heard anything else about this?
No, ma'am.
Anything else about her allegations?
No, ma'am.
Prior to 1994?
No, ma'am.
Would you step up here, please? And state your name.
My name is Lynn Frank.
Lynn Frank, you are a therapist or a school counselor?
I'm a substance abuse counselor, and at the time I was working at the school doing prevention services.
Once you had a conversation with her, and she, I assume, gave you the details of this abuse, and you've been sitting here, were the details that she just gave me consistent with what she gave you when she spoke to you in 1992?
Yes, it is.
What did you do?
The policy at the school was that we had to report it to CPS.
That's Child Protective Services.
Yes. So I contacted CPS and arranged for a meeting so that she could give a statement to them.
There was something here in these notes from the district attorney that I want to ask you about. It said that they were talking to you at that point in October of 1991 on an unrelated matter. You remember what that unrelated matter was that they were talking to you about?
Of 91?
Yes.
October of 91?
Yes. Had you alleged abuse about anyone else?
Mm-mm.
No?
No, I think I was having problems with my mom and I ran away and they put me in a foster home for a little bit, and then I went home.
That's what you were doing, and
Yeah.
initially talking to the prosecutor's office. What kind of problems were you having at home? They call you Benzie, is that right?
Yes. Just me and my mom don't get along, and she's not helping me with this, and it just, no support, so.
What you told us is you're being sexually assaulted by your stepfather.
What?
That's right.
Oh, I don't think so. What are you talking
the first
about?
damn time.
Now listen to me.
it
Don't
was-
let Mr. Morrow. I'm going to get to you. Don't fight with her.
Judge Judy will be right back. Benzie De La Rosa alleges that Dino Morrow sexually assaulted her at the age of 14, and now she wants justice. Mr. Morrow says it's a lie.
Okay. So ultimately we get to an arrest. Now what happened when you were arrested, Mr. Morrow?
Oh, they came in about 2 o'clock in the morning.
Had you just
couple
moved back
sheriff-
to the area?
No, I was still living in a little town in Malone, Washington.
Okay, so this was, they finally tracked
Toward
you down
Avenue.
as a result of the information that you turned over to them.
I'd given forwarding addresses and stuff like that. I wasn't evading anything. I was an elected official in that township.
This is your wife?
This is my ex-wife of 14 years ago. 12 years ago, excuse me.
12 years ago.
Right.
Not the wife that you were living with when Benzie lived with you.
No, we were going through a divorce.
Okay, and you were living
also-
with someone else. Were you married to that person?
I was married to June Morrow.
Okay, and June Morrow, had 3 children. Were they your children?
No.
So they were
my
your stepchildren. And this is your ex-wife who is here because you are friends or because you're getting back together
we're
again?
getting back together, and she's also known me since we were both 14 years old.
Okay. All right, so you were arrested sometime in June. You spent a couple of weeks in jail,
I spent 1 full month in jail.
and then you were released.
I was released on home monitoring system for approximately 3 months. Couldn't leave the house or anything unless I was going back and forth to court. Went to court. They kept stonewalling, not taking medical records, not taking letters. Coming up with a plea bargain every darn time I turned around.
Come up with a plea bargain. I didn't hear the rest
Every
of
darn time I turned around.
Okay. Well, ultimately, Mr. Morrow, you did in fact plead guilty to having done something to Benzie.
Under advice of the attorney, court-appointed attorney.
Whether on advice of the attorney or not, you ultimately pled guilty to 4th-degree assault.
Right.
And that was at a time when there was a possibility that this entire matter would be dismissed because the prosecuting attorney in that county had gone through a series of office changes and elections, and somebody forgot about the file, and somebody forgot to put in an answer, and state trial readiness. So I assume your attorney told you that because of that, and because the Constitution provides that you're entitled to a speedy trial, the case would probably be dismissed. Did your attorney tell you that?
No, ma'am. What he had told me is that Pacific County could drag this on for 6 months to a year. If I wanted to continue to keep going to court or possibly do jail time, it behooved me to take the 4th-degree assault plea.
Are you telling me your attorney never told you, sir, that he had made a motion on speedy trial grounds to dismiss your case, and it was very likely that they would have to grant that?
He had told me quite early in the time frame that he was attempting to do so.
Well, he made a motion
Right.
to do so. I
Right.
have his motion here to dismiss the case on speedy trial grounds.
Right.
And it was very clear from the motion and from the district attorney's response, which I also had, that either the local court or certainly the Supreme Court in your jurisdiction would have to do that, would have to dismiss this case because it had not been prepared properly by the prosecution to be tried. You mean you were not told that?
I was not told anything about the prosecutor. All I knew that it was an election year and they were trying to find something to make him look good.
Well, this case certainly didn't make him look good.
No.
Because
Didn't make anybody look good.
Because it was procedurally handled improperly.
Judge Judy will return in a moment. Benzie De La Rosa alleges that Dino Morrow sexually assaulted her at the age of 14, and now she wants justice. Mr. Morrow says it's a lie.
I was there at that last court hearing, on which case he took the 4th degree. And the judge had said, we have nothing to charge him with, but we have to do something to constitute all the money we've spent on this case.
I don't believe that at all.
It's in the
I
manuscript.
find that, listen, if that was the case, sir, you should have the minutes of that hearing. I would love to see the minutes of that hearing where a judge said in open court, we spent a lot of money on this case, so we got to have a guilty verdict.
Your Honor, he hasn't been given any of the file, any of the records of anything on that case.
Well, you did enter a guilty plea to 4th degree assault.
Yes.
Tell me exactly when you got to court, sir, what you admitted doing.
I admitted to doing nothing but opening my home to a kid.
Well, then, they would not have accepted that plea, sir. I want you to take a look at this document that I have, which is a statement of defendant on a plea of guilty. I want you to look at it and tell me if that's your signature. Is that your signature,
Yes,
sir?
I have a copy of this, yes.
Okay. Can I have it back, please? It says that you had been advised of all of your rights. You make this plea freely and voluntarily. No one has threatened to harm you, or any other person to cause me to make this plea. That you were made a promise by the court, or the prosecutor made a promise to you that credit for time served, no fines or court costs, no probation, other than a $75 fee. And that under the subsection where it says, the court has asked me to state briefly in my own words what I did that resulted in the charges herein, it's typed in defendant to give orally in court. Now, what I'm asking you, Mr. Morrow, is what statement did you give to the court that permitted the court to accept your guilty plea to assault in the 4th degree?
I told them under advisement of my attorney, I accept this.
Let me ask, let's go back a little bit. Do you remember, sir, what you said to the court?
No, ma'am. The most I could do is I was following advisement of my attorney.
But you don't remember what you said to them in court?
Not exactly. It's been a while.
Step up. You say you were in court that day.
Yes.
And you seem to remember, according to you very clearly, what a stranger, that is, the judge said in court. So I'm certain that you remember what it is that Mr. Morrow said when asked what he was admitting to. Do you remember or not?
It was to the lines that he was under advisement to accept it, and that he said, well, what did you do in order to get that? He says, according to the law, it says I touched somebody without permission. Because that's what he was given as what that
That's
meant.
what he admitted to.
The definition of the law.
Touch somebody without permission.
Right.
Sit down. Mr. Morrow, I assume from the answers you give today, sir, that if I were to ask you the following questions, did you ever sexually assault Miss De La Rosa?
No, ma'am.
Liar.
The judge is ready to rule.
In the brief time that I have to hear this case, it is highly unlikely that I am going to be able to gather sufficient evidence by way of witnesses, hers, because you only have one, right? Or yours, because you have somebody who certainly didn't live in your house. You weren't involved with her when you were living in the house with Benzie. So I am going to tell you this, Mr. Morrow. Pleading guilty is no different from going to trial and having been found guilty. You have a guilty conviction now for assaulting, an unlawful touching of this lady. In the criminal court, the burden of proof, as all citizens of this country should know, is proof by beyond a reasonable doubt. The highest standard of proof that one can have in a court. This is a civil proceeding. In a civil proceeding, the quantum of proof that a court needs, that means the amount of proof that a court needs in order to find for the plaintiff, is what we call a preponderance of the evidence. Just a little bit more. Whoever's got a little bit more evidence. Right now, I look at this young lady, and she appears to be truthful. And on the other side, sir, I have your guilty plea, which is, at this point, proof by beyond a reasonable doubt that you unlawfully touched her. She is suing in a civil court for damages. The judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. Thank you.
Parties are excused. Step out, please.
Borrowed $60 from his friend and female sailor, Tanisha Scott. He was late paying her back, so she's brought him to court.
It has been a very long day, Mr. Lambert. We've waited all day for the plaintiff to arrive. Plaintiff hasn't arrived. All the court business having been concluded, I've decided to hear this case without the plaintiff being here. I'm going to tell you why, sir. Because this looks to me like a ridiculous little lawsuit to begin with. And since the plaintiff chose not to come today, if I dismiss this case, if she has some reason why she's not here, she's just going to haul you into court on another day. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
So, you're not Mr. You are ensign, private. I don't know about the military. What are you?
YNSN.
YNS?
Yeah.
So what's your-
YNSN.
YNSN. So can I call you Mr. Lambert?
Sure.
Good. Mr. Lambert, it says in these papers, sir, that the plaintiff made a loan to you of $60.
Yes, she did.
And that you were supposed to repay her within what time frame?
A week.
And that you didn't repay her within the week?
Yes, ma'am.
So that she threatened ultimately to sue you if you didn't give her the money?
That's true.
And so you then gave her the money?
Yes.
Why didn't you give her the money when you were supposed to in the week?
Well, it goes down, it goes without saying that I told her I would pay her money in a designated time frame. We was about maybe a week and a half from payday, and I was depending on someone else to give me some money that was owed to me so that I would just eventually pay her off. The people who were supposed to have paid me my money never did. So, and without the money owed to me, I couldn't pay her. So I had to wait till the next payday.
Did you pay her then when you got your check the next payday right away?
Not right away.
Well, so that was wrong.
Yes, it was.
But you ultimately gave her back the $60, and this lawsuit is for the $30 in court costs because she filed a claim.
Yes.
And when she served you with the summons, then you paid her.
No, I paid her. Yes, I did.
So that what she's claiming in this lawsuit is the $30.
That's true.
That it cost her to collect her $60. That's
Yes.
why I said it's sort of a ridiculous little lawsuit. Now, Mr. Lambert, you don't want to have to come back to court again, do you?
No, I do not.
You would like to put this whole matter behind you, wouldn't you?
Yes, ma'am.
So you would like to pay her the $30 that she invested, wouldn't you?
I would like to pay her?
Yes.
No.
Mr. Lambert, let me put it to you another way. Why should she be out 30 to collect her 60?
Well, in this case, I admit my one fault was not paying her when I told her I was for the $60. And when I said I didn't pay her on payday, time went by, After I didn't pay her the first time, we were on speaking terms, I wouldn't see her at work because we worked 2 different shifts, or just during the work day I would never see her. So, we got paid, just say the first, we got paid on the first. I didn't pay her until the 9th. I didn't see her within that time frame.
You should have seen her right away, Mr. Lambert.
Yeah, that's true,
You
but
should have seen her right away.
Judge Judy.
All I'm saying to you, sir, is I can say this case is over. And what I'm telling you is based upon the papers that I read and the fact that this woman is tenacious enough to sue you for the $30, to go and take out another summons for the $30 to get back her 60.
yes.
She's going to do it again. And you look like a very nice young man who is an honest and honorable young man.
That's true.
So you made a mistake, and she was a nice person. It seems to me you should want me to award her the $30 and end this matter permanently. I give you one final opportunity, sir. Do you want to end this chapter in your life permanently?
No, I do not, Judge.
This case is dismissed. Mr. Lambert, I wish you good luck, sir. You are very, very strong in your position, but morally, you're wrong. Understood?
Yes.
That's all.
Step out, please.
Patterson claims her son-in-law is bad to her grandchildren. Keith Loudon says his mother-in-law is trying to destroy him with 500 calls to Children's Services.
Order, all rise. Order. Your Honor, it's number 69 on the calendar in the matter of Patterson versus Loudon. You may be seated.
Very sad case. When I read these papers, I couldn't wait to see what you two people looked like and what kind of people you were. Ms. Patterson, Mr. Loudon is the father of your 3 grandchildren. He's married to your daughter. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
And you're suing him for $2,500. Stop playing with your papers when I'm talking to you. You're suing him for $2,500 because you say he harasses you, he has maligned you, and you want to be compensated. And he has just filed a countersuit, which the court has just received, for $5,000 against you, saying that you have engaged in a course of conduct over the last 2.5 years by calling Child Protective Services against him and clearly his wife and his children, with regard to his children, that he has assaulted them, that he has neglected them, that he has abused them. And all of these complaints, he says some 500 in number, have been found unfounded. When did you start to make these reports to Child Protective Services about him?
The first time was in 1992.
Based on what, Ms. Patterson?
When I walked in, what I saw was straight out of a nightmare. When I pushed open the door, Mr. Loudon was laying face down on his stomach wearing a pair of white men's shorts. He had my little grandbaby in his hands with her butt toward his face and her head away from him. I just whirled around. I ran upstairs. I got to Dorothy. I called my grandmother. I was a hysterical nut. Grandmother calmed me down. She said, tell Gwen, call the police, do whatever. I've watched this man ever since because my daughter's was basic denial. Oh, no. No, he loves his kids. Not my man, not my father. He's only playing. Okay, Your Honor, say she's right. This is the person that's only playing.
Your Honor, this lady needs help. She needs a lot of help.
Anytime a father feels that this is appropriate play with his child, this is a person that needs some serious parenting classes, serious sex education, and some serious therapy.
Mr. Loudon, do you recall the incident that she's talking about?
No, Your Honor. As a matter of fact, I don't. Your Honor.
Just a second. Do you recall the incident?
Yes, please. Can I?
Would you step up, please? Tell me who you are.
I'm Gwen Loudon.
This is your mom.
That's my mother. Now, the first time we heard about this was in 91 at Tara Hills.
1991,
Let me tell her. We had some out-of-town visitors come in, and my daughter disappeared. And when she disappeared, we freaked. We looked for her for like 2 hours.
How old was she?
She was about 5 at that time. I finally thought, my mother. I went over to my mother's house. There was my daughter. I tried to get the baby. She bit me. She bit me. And so
what does this have to do with the incident that you're talking about in 92?
I'm getting right to that.
Let's get there.
Let me get there. Okay, when I got home, 30 minutes later, the police came and said that there was a child being
beaten, and that the father was in the house and he was molesting, that he had molested the child. The police came in, the kids were asleep, they searched the children.
This was in 91.
This was in 91. Okay,
Did you make that call in 91?
No, ma'am. Your Honor.
Did you had nothing to do with this matter in 1991?
My daughter mixes incidents. It's not the same incident.
I want to know 1992. This incident with the baby that he's talking about. Do you remember anything about that, sir?
Your Honor, can I say this to dispute what she said? I have records here to show, Your Honor, that from the courts, that I've never been charged or anything been filed against me on any of these matters. I have record of that for all those years.
I don't think that there's any question, sir, that if there was anything substantiated, you wouldn't have your children.
Absolutely.
Today, your children are with you.
Question of abuse, harassment, and stability continues in a moment.
Can you say until you get satisfaction?
Yes, ma'am.
Barbara Patterson claims her son-in-law is bad to her grandchildren. Keith Loudon says his mother-in-law is trying to destroy him with 500 calls to Children's Services.
Let's go back a second. So I haven't heard anything else about this incident that allegedly happened in 1992. You continue to make telephone calls to CPS.
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
Your Honor, these people are people
This is your daughter. These aren't these people.
I'm aware of
How
that.
many children do you have?
I have 3.
Where are your other 2 children?
Anthony is in Selma. Jean has been transferred to Marysville, I believe.
What do you mean Marysville, you believe?
Jean was incarcerated. Jean is the other daughter who...
Your other daughter, not the other daughter.
Addicted to crystal meth and just kind of got her life screwed up.
Just a second. So you have 3 children. I assume you don't talk to the daughter who's...
Yes, I do. She talked to me Saturday.
Well, because you said, I assume she's someplace, so I wondered whether or not you...
Because I don't know if she left her yet.
And what about your son? Does he have children? Is he married?
Anthony kind of bounces around. Nobody really knows where he is.
So that the only one of your children is around, who's around in this area is this daughter, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And she has your grandchildren?
Yes.
And these are your only grandchildren?
Oh, no, I've got 10.
By whom?
My son has 3 daughters.
From bouncing around?
Yes, so he has 3 daughters. My other daughter has 3 sons, and this one has 3 daughters. And then there's a new baby. I don't know if it's a girl or boy yet by my son. It's down in Selma. So I got 10.
How many of the 10 do you see?
None. Not a one.
You wanted to say something?
Yes.
Tell me why you think your mother is... Listen, you acknowledge that you make all these calls to Child Protective Services over and over and over and over again, and you're going to continue to make them, you say, until you get satisfaction.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Why do you think your mother is making all these charges?
I know why.
Well, then let me hear.
When I asked my mother about those claims, she denied it.
She denied what?
She denied. I said, why are you going around telling our neighbors, because the neighbors came back and said, could you believe what your mother said, this and this? I said, why are you going around telling people that my husband, that's a disgusting thing to say. And believe me, if he did something to my kids, the cops would find him. I don't play that.
Right.
Okay?
How would they find him, Mrs. Loudon?
He wouldn't be standing. Okay? And she knows that all about me. She didn't keep making these calls. She made the calls. I accused her of them. She denied them. She's lived in our house 3 or 4 times after that. 4 months, 6 months, 3 months, 2 months.
That's how I know you, Your Honor.
Kiss his butt. Bringing plates in bed. Now, her family comes back out of town. She has somebody else to tear her butt with. She starts in again.
Your Honor, that's a deliberate and willful fabrication. My brother and his wife were here 2 months ago. These people systematically and terrified those people until they were even afraid to call
Well,
my
now let me
house.
hear about your lawsuit. Now I've heard about their countersuit. Let me hear about your lawsuit.
Your Honor, I'm being rushed through this, and I have not had a chance to show the court that the reasons I call are for reasons like this. My 8-year-old granddaughter, she's 9 now, wears glasses. This is correspondence between me and her school and proof that she wears prescription glasses.
What are you having correspondence with your granddaughter's school about?
She's going to classes without glasses.
What are you having correspondence with your granddaughter's school
You're not
about?
understanding me.
Oh, I'm understanding you, madam. I sat in the
can't
family
see.
court for 20 years, and I understand exactly what you're saying to me. why are you corresponding with your granddaughter's school?
Because I've been getting her glasses to her classroom for the last 3 years for her to be able to see her schoolwork.
You are. Miss Patterson, Miss Patterson,
prescriptions and I pay for them.
I don't care whether you pay for them or not. You've caused these reports to Child Protective Services.
Yes,
I assume, and I must assume, that with the number of calls that have been made and the number of investigations that have been made, and as sensitive as everyone is on the issue of child protective proceedings, whether it be abuse or neglect, if there was a scintilla of evidence, credible evidence, they would remove these children from that home.
No, ma'am.
Don't. Well, you say no, I say yes, and I win because I'm the judge. Now, now, I want to know why you're suing them. I know why they're suing you. Okay. Why are you suing them for harassment? How do you say they harassed you?
By calling police officers and saying, this lady's going to kill us, this lady's going to come to our house, and this lady's coming with a gun, and this and that and the other. None of these statements are true. The truth is I have little sickly grandbabies that are asthmatics, that live in a house that's dirty most of the time. I have a brother.
I haven't heard how they are harassing you, madam. You want to
but
give
that's
it?
how. The pain and suffering, knowing my grandbabies are wheezing or they're coughing, they don't
Ready
have
to go.
medicine in school.
Listen to me. I want you to be very quiet.
You know.
I want you to be very quiet.
Question of abuse, harassment, and stability continues in a moment.
To this child.
Barbara Patterson claims her son-in-law is bad to her grandchildren. Keith Loudon says his mother-in-law is trying to destroy him with 500 calls to Children's Services.
This is an absolute tragedy.
It is.
That a family has reached a point where they have to come into court to expose the inner workings of their family.
Absolutely.
Miss Patterson, I'm a grandmother. And if someone were to ask me whether I thought that I could raise my grandchildren better than my daughter and son-in-law, and whether I think that they talk to the grandchildren properly all the time, or whether I thought that the discipline of my grandchildren was appropriate all the time, I would say to you unequivocally not. That if children had the ability to choose between being reared by a grandparent or a parent, most children would say, give me my grandma any minute of the day because she takes better care of me and she doesn't discipline me. These children have parents. And you may not like the fact that their house is dirty, that it's in terrible shape, that your grandchildren don't, you believe, get what they're supposed to get. That is, madam, something that you're just going to have to swallow because it's none of your business. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to tell you something else that you're not going to like. You have 3 children. And as far as you've been able to tell me, you were totally unsuccessful with 2 of them. So what makes you a maven when it comes to to child rearing? You are not. If you were to say to me that you had 3 children, and one of them is a professor, and one of them has had a consistent job and never been on drugs, and everybody is married and responsible and has children born during the purview of a marriage, rather than 10 children all over the place being sired by somebody that you say bops around, right? Then I would say to you, well, you're a wonderful mother and we should set you up as a standard. That is not the case. You are unsuccessful with at least 2 of your own children. And as far as I can see, you are being unsuccessful with regard to this child, who appears to me to be a responsible lady. And I believe her when she says that if her husband was in any way abusing any of her children, she would be a widow. I believe that. You better butt out of their business. The judgment in this case is on the counterclaim. I'm going to award you a token, sir. I'm awarding you $500. You better leave them alone. The plaintiff's case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. Step out, please.
Mr. Williams wasn't allowed to speak, but it's okay. We're going to family court.
This woman has tormented my life, and justice has been served on this behalf, and I'm glad that this opportunity has been presented to show that she herself is the unfit person.
Donna thought they had a picture-perfect wedding, but they say their photographer, William Weber, somehow proved them wrong.
All right, let me see these wedding photographs that you're dissatisfied with.
Beautiful wedding pictures.
Yeah, these are the average picture that he took.
And then
just to say, let me just What are all those?
These are more. You want?
Yeah.
Those are just the average picture that we went through and
Let me have all of them,
want all of
please. I want all of them.
Okay.
And then we're going to start to talk. You, according to your complaint, hired the defendant to take photographs at your wedding.
Right.
Two such beautiful people should have nice pictures of their wedding. And you say that the wedding pictures were terrible. You paid them $400. You want your $400 back because the wedding pictures are all out of focus. There are no pictures of you.
There's none of me by myself, none of my husband and I, none of all the pictures of my family. They're ruined.
Okay. Let me take a look.
Okay.
Mr. Weber, you a professional photographer, sir?
No, ma'am.
Did you tell them that you were a professional photographer?
No, ma'am.
Yes, he did.
Well, tell me about that. How did you find him?
We went to the florist as we were looking, and the
florist that you were going to use for the wedding?
For the wedding.
Yeah.
And they had one of his flyers telling about his prices and the different things that he does. And we asked him about him, what they
What did
thought
the
of him.
flyer say?
It gave the different prices and...
Let me see the flyer that you put up, sir.
And what exactly he does.
Show the flyer to Mr. and Mrs. Johnson. Is that the flyer that you saw?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
And Bird?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll take that up here, too. Okay, continue.
And we asked the florist what kind of photographer he was, and they said they seen some of his work. And
Don't tell me what they
said.
said.
It was good. Okay. So we decided we called him, and we went to his house and talked about it. And we decided, well, it was good, it fit our budget, and we could use him. So we hired him. And then the wedding came. Disaster. To start, he wants to take pictures of my wife while she's getting dressed before the wedding.
Mr. Weber.
Yes, ma'am.
You're not a professional photographer, sir. What are you doing putting up these flyers?
It's just for a hobby. It's a hobby.
Then why did you tell us that you're a professional?
It's like for extra money.
Then you
Well, couldn't you find, Mr. Weber, some other way of making extra money? These are the worst wedding photographs I saw. My 6-year-old grandchild could take better photographs.
I used to shoot for the Moose Lodge. I used to shoot for a lot of other people.
Moose Lodge is one thing, sir.
I
you know, I'm telling you, I'm looking
shot
at the...
construction pictures. I've shot other weddings before, and not one person had ever told me that they were lousy pictures.
No,
They're horrible. Just a second. Mr. Weber,
out of focus.
I want you to take a look at these photographs, sir. Would you
I
show me?
have some here, Your Honor. I have some in my book right here. The same pictures.
Could I
and a
see
lot of
them?
them are not out of focus. They
Could
are
I
nice.
see the ones that you have
Sure.
that you say are lovely pictures?
Sure.
Gosh, I'm glad you have a book of my wedding. I don't have one.
We don't have any pictures.
I have an empty
There were
picture
16 people there shooting
my
pictures,
wife.
Your Honor.
Just a second.
Besides
But we
myself.
hired you.
We hired you.
Hey, listen, don't fight with each other. Especially not when it appears as if you have a sympathetic ear up here. All right?
Judge Judy will return in a moment.
How many pages? Are these all the pages that you say are wonderful pictures, sir?
There are some in there. There are nice
There are
shots.
some in there?
Yes.
Did you see how out of focus these things are, sir? Were you wearing your glasses when you looked at these pictures?
Yeah.
Take a look at them. They're all out of
You also
focus.
got to take in consideration, too, the time, the temperature of the day and everything else.
No, you don't.
Oh, yes, you do.
Temperature.
Oh, just a second. No, you don't. Listen, I've had a few weddings myself, my own. I have 5 children. I've done a few weddings for my children. Some are in June, some are in August, one was in November. I didn't think about, nor should anyone have to think about, that the temperature is 90 or 100, depending upon how that little thing on the front of the camera that I'm not familiar with moves. What does that have to do with the temperature? They weren't fading away, sir. Your camera's fading away. I mean, look at these pictures. You can't even identify people's faces. Ha! Mr. Weber, you're going to give them back their money. End of discussion.
Excuse me?
What do you want?
I'm his son, and he never came across as a professional. It says on his business card he's a freelance photographer.
Freelance photographer means he's a freelance photographer, which means he can take pictures better than my 6-year-old grandson.
Right,
the judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $400. Goodbye.
Bodies are excused. Step out, please.
When his teeth were knocked out, she bought him new ones. Now, the love is gone, and she wants her 2 front teeth back.
Order, all rise. Yeah, this is number 65 on the calendar in the matter of Marin versus Cortez. You may be seated.
Well, I've read your complaint and your answer. I need some facts filled in, but what I gather from your complaint, Miss Marin, this was your boyfriend?
Exactly.
You had a child with him?
Yes.
A girl?
It's a girl.
How old is your daughter?
She's 2.
You lived together for a while?
No, we never did.
You were together for a while?
Oh, yes.
And during that time, you lent him some money, you broke up, and you want money for 4 things. So I'm going to go over each of the things. You're going to tell me exactly what it's about. You say in July of 1995, he's unwilling to pay a loan of $1,000. That's item number 1.
Exactly.
So tell me about this item number 1.
Okay, well, he got a call from the American Inventors Association. He tried to invent a pencil holder, which he got me into, and he told me if I would lend him the money, he would pay me when he got his refund, which I never saw the money.
That's not true,
What
Your
about
Honor.
what kind of refund? You need money for a patent? Is that what you're talking about?
No, he was gonna pay me back the $1,000. I lent into it with my personal money. I never gave it to him. He was gonna pay me back when he got his refund, which he never did.
Did you give him the $1,000?
Yes, I did.
Did she give you $1,000?
Yes, she did, Your Honor.
Did you give it back?
No, I haven't, because it was a money that was going to be invested on both of our parts for our future. And during that time, since it wasn't just a casual relationship, you know...
It was pretty casual. You weren't married, were you?
We weren't, but there was
You weren't married, were you? Did you have a child already?
Yes, we did. That's what makes it, you know, for me, on my part, you know, from my criteria, it doesn't make it a casual relationship.
Well, to me, for my part, when 2 people are serious about each other, serious enough to make a baby and to have joint investments, they usually get married.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
I know that's become sort of a dirty word these days, so why didn't you get married?
Because she didn't want to.
Is that right?
Yes, because he's a woman beater. He used to always beat me up, and I was going to be in
not
an
true, Your
abusive
Honor.
relationship.
Miss Marin, let me ask
Basil.
You want me
Listen to me. I'm going to say this only once. This is a courtroom. Is that clear? Good. Now, let's go to item number 2 on your laundry list of what he owes you. A MasterCard for dental, unpaid balance, $921.98. What was that for?
Okay, he was to be in gang-related activities. He got his teeth knocked out because he didn't want to be from a gang anymore. He had his 2 front teeth knocked out.
That's not true, Your Honor.
He has his 2 front teeth knocked out, and I felt sorry for him. You know, I was pregnant at the time. I thought I was going to marry this man
That's not
here.
true. That's not true.
Yes, it is
Mr.
true.
Cortez.
So he was toothless for a while until his friend that's sitting right there, he used to work at that dental office, and he gave him a really good deal. So I lent him my visa so he could get his 2 front teeth because I didn't want him to be toothless. And he was giving me payments. He paid me halfways. But then after that, we had to start having so many problems. He stopped paying me.
So how much does he owe you?
He owes me $921.98.
That's not true,
and
Your
I
Honor.
have my
Mr. Cortez, tell me why you say now it's not true.
Because if I could show you, if you give me the chance to show you how to give me a chance to discredit her, I would. Because there's this another incident which she went to my work, and this was only just 2 months ago, and accused me of stabbing her, Your Honor. And I could show you a police
Wait,
report.
just a second. We're going to get to stabbing in a couple of minutes if
Okay.
it's relevant. Let's get to the fact, sir, that in your answer, which I have here, which you signed, you admit that you owe her for payments on her dental work.
If he doesn't want to pay me, I want my teeth back.
Just a second. You said, during
have
the
your
time we
brains
were
back.
together, I needed some dental work, and she offered to help me with a
Shorty.
credit card for the payment of such work.
That's correct.
Okay.
She loved him. She fixed his 2 front teeth. Now she wants them back. Judge Judy returns in a moment.
Tell me what he did.
What he did, due to his anger, he told me, do you want me to break your windshield or do you want me to, you know, break your face?
Yvette Marin loved Faisal Cortez a lot. When his teeth were knocked out, she bought him new ones. Now the love is gone, and she wants her 2 front teeth back.
Let's get to item number 3. This case is easier than I thought. Dashboard and hood damages of $1,780. September. Yes.
Yes, due to his violence, he trying to hit me. He hit the dashboard
That's
because
not
he was
true.
so
That's
violent.
not true,
Yes,
Donna.
it is.
No, it's
Well,
not.
just describe the incident to me.
Okay, he tried to beat me up. Instead of beating me up, he hit
That's
the
not
dashboard.
true.
He was in,
How did it start?
Who kicked the dashboard when you were crying like a little baby?
No, I did not
That's right.
kick it.
You were crying like a little baby.
No,
How
don't
did we
try to
get
make
into
me
the?
bad.
Don't fight with each other. How did we get into the car?
Somebody told him that I was at a party at a New Year's, or I don't know, at a party somewhere, and he was following me that day. He was haunting me, and he tried to beat me up.
Mr. Cortez, you're being very rude.
Well, Your Honor, if you... Like
She's going to tell me a story, then I'm going to turn to you and say to you, Mr. Cortez, you tell me your
Well,
version
I just want to
about
stop her on her lies, Your Honor. I just want her to tell you the truth. That's we're in the court of justice here, and I want her to be, you know, truthful about things. That's all.
Are you going to do it again and interrupt her?
If I feel that she's not telling the truth, and it's, you know...
Are you going to interrupt her even though I told you not to?
I guess not.
You were at a party. You were in your car.
No, I wasn't at a party. They told him rumors that I was at a party that day, so he started flipping because he has a flipping problem.
I don't want you to speculate as to how he got there, what somebody else told him. Where were you and where was he?
We were both driving. We were both driving. He was, he tried to beat me up due to his anger and his violence.
Just a second, Miss Marin. How could you both be driving a car and him trying to beat you up? You were in two separate cars?
I was driving. He was sitting passenger.
Oh, so you're in a car together. How did you get into the car together, madam?
Because I picked him up. I want to resolve
Where did you
this
pick
stuff
him up from?
At his house.
So you went to his house, you picked him up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And now you're in the car. Are you trying to talk nicely to each other?
Yes, to let him know that it's not true what he was hearing. You know, he flipped. We started arguing, and he was really violent. He tried to beat me up, and that's when he stopped the
Tell me what he did. Tell me what he did.
What he did, it was due to his anger. He told me, "Do you want me to break your windshield, or you want me to, you know, break your face?" And
so what did you say to him?
I go, "No, don't break nothing." He goes, "Are you sure?" That's when he had his fist right there by the dashboard, and he started swinging at the dashboard with his fist.
And then what happened?
And then I started crying. I started flipping. I stopped the car. I didn't know what to do. I tried to run, you know, because I thought he was going to beat me up again. So that's what he did. He just hit the dashboard.
You tell me your side of the story.
Well, Your Honor, back in October '95, we broken up because we were arguing, and I guess she had, you know, got tired of me trying to keep our relationship conservative, and as wild as she is, she's boy crazy and all that. Well, she broke up with me. She broke up with me, and then she was out of my relationship for 2.5 months. Then came back when I started dating and tried to come back with me, and at that time I was pretty angry, so I just said, you know, I'm not coming back with you yet. And
She was in the car?
She saw, yes, we were in a car, and then she saw that, some hickeys on me, so she started crying like a little baby and kicking her car. She broke her radio and all that stuff right there.
There's only one other thing that I want to briefly discuss in this complaint. You have this little girl.
Yes, I do.
Are you working?
Yes, I am.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a records clerk in Irvine, California.
And you paid every week?
Yes, I am.
How much do you get paid every week?
I make about
Not about, just look at me. It always surprises me when people say I make about, you know.
Well, I'm not.
I know every penny that I earn. If my boss tries to cheat me out of a nickel, right, I know about it.
Right.
So how much do you earn every week?
$226. I'm not a full-time employee yet, so I haven't got
So I
it.
knew, that was easy, $226.
$226.
Right? And do you work?
Yes, I do.
And how much do you earn?
I make $9.75 every 2 weeks.
What kind of work do you do?
Billing.
Billing?
Billing, yes.
You pay child support regularly, sir?
I got a court case against her coming up.
The answer
You're
is,
asking me, I'm letting you know.
My
Ron.
answer, no. You were starting to tell me that you have a court date about it.
Exactly, that's my answer. It means that I do.
He's 3 months behind.
Just a minute. Having a court date about it doesn't mean that you're regularly paying child support. What I asked you, Mr. Cortez, is, are you regularly
No, I am not.
Why not?
Because she doesn't let me see my child. It's been ever since we broke up. I try to go over there, and all she does is
You haven't gone to
she
jail
goes
for
psycho,
7
Your Honor. Shut
Come
up.
up. Excuse me?
I told her shut up.
Well, now I'm going to tell you, Mr. Cortez.
She loved him. She fixed his 2 front teeth. Now she wants them back. The judge is ready to rule in a moment.
Perfect, you wouldn't have picked him.
Yvette Marin loved Faisal Cortez a lot. When his teeth were knocked out, she bought him new ones. Now the love is gone, and she wants her 2 front teeth back.
I'm an old family court judge. You know, many times I've heard the tale, I don't pay child support because she won't let me see my child. And my question is usually as follows. The first weekend that you're ex-wife, present wife, girlfriend said that you couldn't see your child, did you go running off to the family court to take out a summons and say, can't visit with my child, I can't spend a week without seeing her? Did you do that? Most of the people say no, that they didn't. What they do is they just, well, it's easy as I won't send any money, she's not going to let me see the kid. You know what strikes me about that? I've had children, they're all grown up now, but if somebody took my children and I didn't see them for a week, I'd be clawing down the doors of a courthouse. It's easy to make a baby. It's difficult to be a parent. Children require the emotional support of both parents, who are supposed to act like adults, not like children, and they also require support. I have no jurisdiction to order support. I'm telling you, sir, you have a responsibility. Before you get to the courthouse, a moral and an ethical responsibility as an adult to take care of this child that you made. That's what you're supposed to do. And then you're supposed to fight like hell to see that child, and there should not be any resistance. Children are entitled to have two parents. If you made a mistake in picking him as the father, which you may have done,
Yes.
that's not your daughter's fault. You picked somebody that was imperfect. In all probability, you're imperfect. Because if you weren't imperfect, you wouldn't have picked him. Right?
Right.
So you both did stupid things. Bottom line is, your daughter has two living parents, and she should have the ability to see both of those parents. So you don't withhold him visiting with his daughter because of any of this other nonsense, because she's the innocent victim of both of your mistakes. So you owe her, sir, $1,000 for this loan that she made you, and you owe her $921.98 for the teeth that you now enjoy wearing. I do not find that you owe her any money for the dashboard of the car. So the judgment of this court is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,921.98. Be a good father, sir. It'll pay off in the end.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. Step out, please.
Thank you.
What about the child? I mean, do you think you'll ever let the father see her?
Of course, if he wants to pay me money, of course, but I mean, he doesn't even call to see his daughter.
Well, if you answer the door when I knock, don't
What?
act like
You haven't
little-
even gone for 7
You
months.
guys act like wham.
Oh, be quiet. You're one,
that's
too.
what you are.
Do you think there's ever a chance of y'all two getting back together?
No,
Not with
I
this
don't think
monster.
so. Not with
I
this
can
woman
get somebody
beater.
prettier than this.
Then I could get somebody better.
Yeah, well, I bet you have. Oh, Sonata.
That's
About 100
right.
of them.
Yeah,
Well,
that's right.
Handle it then.
Yeah, I am.
Well,
I'm
there
pretty
it is.
good, too.
There it is. At least I have too, so.
All parties on Gurdon versus Valdez and Presley. Step forward, please.
Jamie Gurdon claims Nicole Presley and Madalise Valdez wrote bad things about her on her car, and she's got a witness.
Well, I've read your complaint and your answer. You are alleging, Miss Gurdon, that these two young ladies did some damage to your car.
That's correct.
That they keyed your car with some very foul language.
Yeah.
What motive would they have for doing that?
I don't know who she is. I know her because of her rudeness from when they were sitting on stairs and they would not let me up. But she's the only, Nicole. Is the only one I
Why
know.
would they key your car?
I haven't the slightest idea. I don't know who they are.
Did you ever see them key
I've
your
seen,
car?
No. My witness did.
Did you key the car?
No, I didn't.
Did you?
No.
Do you know who did?
Nope.
Did you see the car keyed?
Nope.
Did you see the damage to the car?
No. Well, yes, I did.
Well, when did you see the damage to the car?
The day it was done, I guess.
Do you live in the same place?
Yes.
You live in the same building?
No, I do not live there. I was there having dinner with my
car
parents.
was
I was there
parked.
less than 45 minutes. When I came out, I first noticed this on my car. Then, after the cops were here, I noticed the rest of it.
Can I see it, please?
Sure. And there's other...
Are you going to say something?
Her car was parked in the complex because when we had gone back to our house, we had seen the car. So her car was parked in the complex.
Well, how many cars were parked in the complex?
Excuse me?
How many cars were parked in the complex?
A lot of cars were.
Well, what drew your attention to this car?
Because we were walking around and Davina had noticed the car and we turned around. We're all, well, let's just go. Let's go back to my house because we have nothing to do with it.
I don't understand what you mean.
We saw what was done on the car. We looked at it, we walked away because we didn't
Your
think of
Honor.
anything about it.
I see written on two places on this car the word bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what was written on your car?
There's also another word. And you can only kind of see it in the pictures because it wasn't as deep as bitch.
What was the other word?
It was. And
are you telling me that you only saw these two young ladies one time in your life, and that was after this incident?
No, I've seen one of them before this, and I've seen the other one that the night it happened. I was also told by my niece that Nicole had said...
You can't tell me what your niece told you.
Okay, well, I was also told, you know, this is what I was told, that she said that she was going to get me and she was going to get my car. And, Your Honor, also, if they didn't do it, why would they turn around and start beating up on him?
Well, I'm going to get to this as your witness.
Yes, that is.
What's your name?
Edward.
All right, I'm going to get to you in a minute. Why do you think that she would think that you had anything to do with this?
She's racist, because if she was not racist...
Had you ever seen her before?
I saw her once before, and she just started calling me racist names.
I've never seen you before, so you're straight out lying. And I don't call
Edward,
people to their
step
face.
up here, Edward.
And if I was to say
Okay.
it, you would know.
Ladies,
Judge Judy will be right back.
what did you see her doing to the car?
I see her scratching it with the keys.
Jamie Gurdon claims Nicole Presley and Madalise Valdez wrote bad things about her on her car, and she's got a witness.
How old are you, Edward?
11.
How long have you known the plaintiff, Miss Gurdon?
Since I ever moved in.
And have you seen her for a long time?
No.
For a short time?
Yes.
Did you see something happen to her car, to this red car?
Yes.
You sure about that?
Yes.
Tell me what you saw.
I saw Nicole scratching the car, and she
Point out who Nicole is. Nicole is this young lady in the brown?
Yes.
What did you see her doing to the car?
I see her scratching it with the keys.
And did you see this other young lady doing anything?
Nicole told her to scratch it with me.
And did she?
Yes.
You saw her, this young lady, actually scratch the car?
Yes.
With what?
With keys.
Did you tell anybody about it?
Yes.
Who did you tell?
Jamie.
You sure you saw that, Eddie?
Yes.
You telling me the truth today?
Yes.
Sit down. Why do you think he would lie about that?
He wasn't even there.
How do you know he wasn't there?
Because we walked as a group to my house. It was me, her sister, Victor, her, 2 little boys, and his cousins.
Mm-hmm.
And he was not there.
Well, you may not have seen him, but that doesn't necessarily mean because you weren't with his group. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a courtroom, okay? You may not have seen him, but that doesn't mean he wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think he would lie about something like that?
Because he hates me also.
Oh, sounds to me like a lot of people hate you. Why do you
No.
think he hates you?
No, see, his mom or his aunt or whoever takes care of him told the cops that I beat them, which I don't. So I don't know where he's getting these thoughts at of who or what.
Well, that's his mom because he says that you haven't touched him. Is that right, Eddie?
Yes.
So if somebody said that they were hurting you, they would be lying. Is that right?
Yes.
And you didn't lie to me today, did you?
No.
Well, I don't know what this was about. You have any witnesses?
Yes, I do.
Step up, please. State your name.
Madeline Valdez.
Madeline, you know that it's really important to tell the truth in a court.
Yes.
What do you know about this car scratching incident?
I was with them when we came back and we saw the car. And that's it.
How long were you with them?
I was with them the whole time. So the whole time we were outside in broad daylight.
Your Honor.
What time had you parked your car?
I parked my car. It was about 7, I'd say about 7:15, and I was leaving at 7:45 because I needed to go pick someone up from work.
Was it light or dark
It was
outside?
dark when I left. It was dark. I was there for about 45 minutes to an hour. It was completely dark.
She says it was dark.
It was broad daylight when we saw it.
My car was.
She must have not
Your
seen
Honor.
it.
Well, just a second. If you saw it in broad daylight and if something happened after that, then you're not...
Sorry.
Then you're not a witness. You were with them perhaps at a different time.
She was with us the whole day.
We were with them when
It
we
was
saw
dark
her.
when she had approached us about the car. It was dark when she came up to us and started calling us names. That's when the sun was going down, when it was dark.
You know who did this to her car?
Many people are after her. I don't know.
Why would many people be after her?
Because of what she said to my family, my friends.
Why would this young boy be after you?
This little boy is nothing to me.
He was coached. It says on the police report that the little boy was coached with his cousin.
Where's that police report?
Your Honor, there was no police report taken at the time because his grandmother didn't want him being a witness because they were afraid, they were going to start hitting on him. When I got there, it was dark. I wasn't there any earlier that day.
Okay, now what is this $2,000 damage for?
Well, what it is I've got the estimate. It's about almost $1,600.
How old is this car?
It's a 95, and the guy told me that they were going to need it for at least a week. Because
Well, from a week and a half, we went down to a week.
Well, a week and a half. I don't know exactly. That's what he told me was a week.
It's $1,529 is the estimate that you got for painting this car. Okay.
She's ready to rule. Stay tuned. Jamie Gurdon claims Nicole Presley and Madalise Valdez wrote bad things about her on her car, and she's got a witness.
This court is charged with trying to evaluate the credibility of witnesses. And what we have to do when we're evaluating the credibility of witnesses, we have to look and see, one of the things we look to is to see whether the witnesses are related to each other, what motive they would have to lie. There is no question that her car was damaged. I see that here. There is no question that somebody other than she damaged the car. Somebody wrote these things, keyed her car. And I have what I believe a very credible witness who is not related to anyone who says that he saw you two ladies damage this car. Now, according to you, she doesn't like you because she's a racist. If that's true, that's despicable. That's not a... But you can't damage her car. So even according to you, she had a motive to doing that, even though the motive was terrible. It was a terrible motive because it was based upon race. The question is, do I believe that you two ladies did this damage? Do I believe this young man, who's not related to you, or do I believe your sister? And, quite frankly, I believe him. So the judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,529 for the damage to the car. That's all.
Espinal versus Zoller. Step forward.
Raquel Espinal says Gail Zoller promised her a job if she moved from Dallas to New York. Raquel got the job, then she got fired, and now she wants traveling money.
Miss Espinal and Miss Zaylor, I've read your complaint. I've read your answer. Let me see if I understand this. You were living in Texas.
Yes, ma'am.
You were originally from New York.
Yes, ma'am.
And you came to New York for a job interview with the defendant.
Correct.
And she hired you. You left Texas.
Mm-hmm.
You lasted 2 weeks on the job. You were fired. And you're seeking $3,000 in damages.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, first tell me what kind of job was it that you had with the defendant?
I was supposed to be hired for an administrative assistant and also...
What kind of business?
I said for a jewelry store, for a jewelry showroom. And she hired me as an administrative assistant, and she also needed somebody who had some sales experience, which I do.
That's not true. I didn't hire you for that purpose.
All right, we're going to get to your side of the story in a minute.
Oh, okay.
Okay, go ahead.
The interview lasted 10 minutes. They told me everything that was expected from me, and there was no references checked, nothing. And I made the decision, and I moved to New York because I thought it was going to be a better opportunity for me.
So you left Texas.
Everything.
What was in Texas?
My life. I had a job. I had my boyfriend that I was with for 5 years.
How much were you making at the job in Texas?
I was making $400 a week.
And how much were you making at this job?
It was $400 also. And the reason why I took the job for so little is because, again, she led me to believe that there was going to be better opportunities in the future.
So you left your boyfriend and your life to come to New York for a job at the same salary?
Yes, I left my apartment. Okay. I left everything, sold my car, because what he had said to me that with training, within a year, I would be making about $60,000.
If everything worked out?
If everything worked out.
You didn't have a contract with them?
No, ma'am.
So you understood that you could have an employment contract. Did you ask about an employment contract?
No, I was overwhelmed and so happy that she hired me so fast that I just, I accepted the position.
But you know what an employment contract is?
Yes, I do.
And you didn't have one?
No, ma'am.
Okay, what happened after 2 weeks? She just came in and fired you?
Well, the first week I was there, she was getting prepared for market. Everything was a disaster. Nothing was in place.
That's what happens before market, Judge.
Right.
You have to get everything in place, so it would be a disaster.
Right. It was a complete disaster. I mean, everything was unorganized. The first thing I needed to do is get myself organized so I can see what I'm doing and I can understand, the job that I'm performing. But every time I try to do something, I was pulled by either her or whatever to do different things, and I was never able to finish the job that she originally had asked me to do.
Okay.
Okay?
So she came in and fired you?
Well, she came and fired. The second week it was market. Market didn't go as well as she expected. And the second day after market was finished, she came and fired me. In the meantime, in the 2 weeks that I was there, she didn't express any reasons to me that she was unhappy with me until the day.
Were you living with your mother at this time, according to this?
No, I was living with a friend of mine, and that I was trying to, he was letting me stay in his apartment, and I was paying him $450 a month. So until I found an apartment, until I get myself settled and everything, because
Because it says in your complaint that now you're living with your mother.
Now I'm living with my mother because I have no place to live. And I haven't lived with my mom since I was 18 years old. I've been on my own. And it's very uncomfortable. My mom right now is going through a lot of things.
Well, why don't you go back to your boyfriend?
Because I'm not seeing him anymore.
When did you break up with him?
Before I left.
She came to the big city, but lost her job. Now she wants money. Stay tuned. She came to the big city, but lost her job. Now she wants money.
Let me hear. What happened? How come you fired her?
I fired her because she was incompetent and she wasn't doing the job I needed to be done. I spoke to her several times about her lateness in the morning.
How late?
20 minutes, a half hour, talking on the phone constantly. I spoke to her about that. The pièce de résistance was I gave her a Federal Express letter to mail, and I found it on the desk the next morning. And I said to her, what is happening here if you can't even mail something that is so important? I'm sending Federal Express overnight delivery, and it's still sitting on the desk.
Do you remember that incident?
Yes, I do remember that incident. And the Federal Express that she's talking about were 300 copies that she
It doesn't matter how many copies.
Listen, there were 300 copies that it was missing some information from Federal Express. She originally had told me to call Federal Express and sit on the phone so that Federal Express people can get me this information over the phone. They said, there's no way we can do this.
Why wasn't it mailed that day and Federal Express not until the next day? That's what I want to know.
Okay.
The rest of the stuff is unimportant.
Because pulled me out of whatever I was doing and told me that he needed me to run this other errand and spend about, an hour with this other people. By the time I finished, it was already too late. So what I was going to do...
You couldn't have taken the envelope to a Federal Express office?
No, I mean, I could have, but this was not an overnight deal. It was not an overnight.
But you could have taken it to a Federal Express office.
Yes, I could have.
All right.
May I add another thing, Your Honor? The reason why she was actually angry at me is because, in addition to the Federal Express, she had some envelopes that she needed me to mail her personal.
I wasn't angry about that.
No, listen,
and my
Miss
personal
Taylor.
stuff. Yes.
And I asked her, well, since I need to finish this, this isn't very important. The mailbox is right underneath. Right, as soon as you get out of the elevator, it's inside the building. Just go ahead and mail.
So just a minute. Let me understand this. Your employer said to you, would you mail these for me? And you told her to mail it herself.
No, I didn't.
Well, in effect, that's what you did. She told you to mail something, and you said, listen, it's right downstairs. Go mail it yourself. You may have said it's right downstairs. It's right underneath the elevator. But bottom line, you were saying to your
Okay,
boss,
I
go
understand.
mail it yourself. Doesn't that sound ridiculous to you?
It sounds ridiculous, but that's not what I said. She was on her way down to go over to the showroom. I said,
I don't care if she was on her way to the post office.
I didn't say to her.
If your boss says to you, if your boss, and it's a new job of 2 weeks, and she says, would you mail this for me, please? You don't tell her, mail it yourself. Look, there are a couple of things that I want to go over in your answer to her complaint. You say that after you fired her, she called you and told you that she had gotten another job with William Morris.
Yes.
That's what you put in your answer.
Yes, I did.
When did she make that telephone call to you?
2 days after the firing.
Judge Judy rules in a moment.
Well, it seems to me that you have a problem. And one of your problems is when somebody hires you for a job, and if you've been working before, and based upon what you tell me, you have a work history, you know that there are no guarantees. She hired you based upon your own statement. It was a very brief interview, so you know that they were not going into an in-depth check upon your background and credentials. She offered you a job at $400 a week, clearly not a very high-paying job. You left a job in Texas where you were making approximately the same thing. I don't believe you when you say you left your whole life there because, based upon what you said later, you had already broken up with your boyfriend before you came to New York. You didn't break up with your boyfriend because you were coming to take this job for equal pay. Most important, seems to me, you're a pretty articulate gal, and you know that if you want some guarantee of employment, you enter into an employment contract.
I understand.
I haven't heard any bad faith or any bias on this lady's part. She hired you to do a job. You weren't doing the job to her satisfaction. And if you're not doing the job to her satisfaction, she's an employer. She doesn't have to keep you on.
May I say something?
Yes.
The job that she was hired me for was completely different of the things that I was doing.
You were hired as an administrative assistant. That means you do whatever it is that your boss tells you to do. And if she tells you to mail a letter for her, you mail a letter for it. If she tells you as her assistant that she'd like you to give the cat water, you give the cat water. You don't argue with her. You're in a low-paying administrative job. I mean, that's what you were hired for. You didn't leave to become head of medicine at Harvard. You left to take a job as an administrative aide to the head of a company.
I understand
All right.
that.
And you
But
didn't have a contract, and she has the absolute right to say to you at the end of a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I'm not satisfied, this is not working out, I'm going to look for somebody else. So the judgment in this case is for the defendant. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. Step out, please. Step up, please.
Pamela Gilligan says she's been taken for a ride. She sold Michael Crow a motorcycle. He crashed it. Now he refuses to pay.
Order. All rise. Order. Judge number 70 on the calendar in the matter of Gilligan versus Crow. You may be seated.
Miss Gilligan, I've read your complaint. The story that you tell is relatively simple. The amount of money that you're requesting based upon your complaint is not so simple. So I have a couple of questions. Okay. It seems to me from your complaint that you were living with the defendant's sister.
Yes.
And at some point, the defendant got tossed out of his house.
He was kicked out of his parents' house, so he came to live with his sister and myself.
And so you took him in?
Took him in, yeah. And then he had been to jail. And when he came out of jail, he came to move back in with us. Disobeyed some of the rules we set out, so we kicked him out.
How old was he at the time?
17.
So you kicked him out?
Yeah.
No, that didn't happen. I actually moved out.
You moved out because we made you move out.
No. I didn't come home for about a week, and I was 18, actually. When I got out of juvenile hall, this has nothing to do with what happened before. My parents didn't kick me out. I went to juvenile hall. I actually went to live with my sister on Easter of '94, I believe. And I was in there for 3 months. I got in trouble. Prior to that 3 months, I went to juvenile hall, did whatever, got out, moved back in there. When I got out, I was 18 at the time. I was doing my own thing, going to school, working, and I wasn't coming home a lot, which I understand. I went out, they called me, they were having a hard time with it, And
They were having a hard time with your hours.
My sister,
Well, because he wasn't working, so.
Well, I was working.
whatever.
I was working at a water park at the time and going to school.
And got fired.
In any event, they didn't want you coming and going at all hours.
Right.
They wanted some order in their house.
Yeah, so I
Well,
couldn't-
that's reasonable.
He was taking advantage of the situation, so we kicked him out.
Fine.
No.
Now let's talk about this money that you say he owes you.
Okay.
Your complaint talks in terms of a $500 bike.
That's what I
motorbike.
sold the bike for. The bike is actually worth a lot. What had happened is he finally had got a job, and I was real proud
While
of
he
him.
was living with you.
No, he was out on his own at this point because
Okay.
we didn't let him come back in.
Okay.
So he got a job. I was totally proud of him because he hadn't had a job this whole time. Got a job. I didn't want to sell the bike, but I thought he was taking the bus. I thought, okay, maybe he's finally getting his act together. Okay, so sold the bike. It's actually worth near between $1,600 and $2,200. I sold it to him for $500, and I made a payment plan for him. $500, gave me $100 to start off. Never saw him after that. Never paid me a penny. Then he crashes it.
I paid $200 after. I paid a total of $300 on the bike. I had an
I
accident.
keep records of everything.
But
I'm
you
very
lie
meticulous.
about various things too.
Yeah. I'm the one who went to jail, right?
Okay.
That's right.
Listen. You say he gave you $100 on the bike.
Right.
So he still owes you $400 for the bike.
Well, what happened is he crashed it. So because I sold it to him for less than it's worth, he did almost $1,500 for the damage to the bike. I want the bike back. So I want to take the money that he, for the damages and get the thing fixed. I want the bike. I never wanted to give it to him, but I did to help him out. But as soon as he started screwing me, I thought, no, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Well, where is this bike now?
The bike is right.
In her possession.
Yeah, but it's thrashed. You can't even drive it.
We made a verbal agreement. If I give the bike back to her, I don't have to do anything with it anymore. Case closed. Never brought up until 6 months later.
Okay, so I'm just going to let
until
you
6 months later.
You also
she said
totaled her
She
truck,
said she wanted to give it
Michael.
to her sister,
Listen.
which is true.
Who are you?
Okay. Blackie.
I live
Black
with
guy.
her, and I saw this whole thing happen. Not only did he total her motorcycle, but he totaled her car.
Just a second. Is there any reason why she can't tell me the story?
Well, she's obviously not, so why didn't she do it, Pam?
Listen, you have the bike back now.
Yeah, but
you
it's
get any-
unrideable.
Did you get any money for the bike from insurance or as a result
No,
of this?
I didn't even have insurance. I was driving it to and from work. I was starting the first day. I work at the Ritz-Carlton now. My first day on the job, I was going. It's up in the mountain. I had an accident. I
It was
punctured
on the
my
road.
foot.
It wasn't in the
I
mountain.
punctured my foot. I punctured my foot. I have proof if I have to.
Whatever.
I got a burn.
Why didn't you have insurance on this bike?
Well, I didn't have it very long.
How long did you have it?
About a month and a half, 2 months before I was going down the hill, and they call it Dead Man's Curve, where a lot of motorcycle accidents happen. Had an accident.
Ritz-Carlton
I was trying. No, it wasn't the Ritz-Carlton parking
Miss
lot.
Gilligan,
I
you're being disrespectful.
I tried to save
I don't
up
think
money.
I don't think that should be your style.
Okay.
I tried to save up money to do it. I couldn't do it. So I did stop paying on it. She made a verbal agreement, give it back to her. I don't have to deal with it anymore. She was going to give it to her twin sister. I said, fine, that's it. I owed her $200 on it. Case closed. Never brought it up till 6 months later when I had an accident in her truck.
Well, then, you see, she doesn't mention the accident in the
Well, I
truck.
know, but
in your
this is what-
complaint.
this is what
Now,
brings
listen
it
to
up,
me.
though.
That's a whole
This is what
different
brings it up,
case, and
though.
that's in big. That's not even civil. That's
Listen.
not in small claims.
Listen to me. Your complaint says that you want $1,471.
For damages to the motorcycle.
Oh, no. So the truck has nothing to do with your lawsuit. Is that correct? Because his answer talks in terms of some truck business.
Okay.
You're
That's
not dealing with
no,
the
that's
truck.
a whole other case.
Fine. You're just talking about...
I just want the money for my motorcycle to get it fixed. It was worth a lot more than what I sold it to him for. And also needed the money
Listen,
to get
that's
it
your
fixed.
problem. Ms. Gilligan, you made an agreement with him to sell him the motorcycle for $500.
Right.
Within a month and a half time, you got your motorcycle back because he had wrecked it.
But it's completely demolished. I can't ride it.
That may be. But what he owes you is for the bicycle because your arrangement with him was for $500 for the bicycle. Now, let us assume that he didn't have damage to the bicycle. It wasn't wrecked. If he had given you the $500, case closed.
It's a motorcycle, you know that.
Motorcycle, I
Okay.
understand that. It's a motorcycle.
It's a collector's
if
item.
No.
You made an arrangement with him,
She
Miss
cheated
Gilligan.
on the odometer. She.
Oh, shut up, Michael. That is not true.
Just do
Okay.
me a favor.
You know what?
Bird, would you put her out of the courtroom?
Thank you. Step out, please.
You're
Your
such
Honor?
a lying sack of
Your Honor.
Ma'am, this way.
The only reason that this motorcycle is brought up again is because of the
Sir, I
act.
want you to be quiet.
Okay.
I'm not, at this point, talking to you. If he had paid you the $500, whether you were being benevolent because you gave him this collector's item and because you wanted him to have transportation. If he had paid you the $500, case would have been closed, correct?
Right, if he would have paid for it.
Right, but it was a month's period of time. He didn't pay you for the motorcycle. He made one payment, and then you got your motorcycle back wrecked.
Because I had to go pick it up from the place where he left
Whatever.
it.
You sold him your motorcycle. You shouldn't have taken it back. Meanwhile, I'm going to give you two things in this case. It's a very easy decision.
Judge Judy is ready to rule. Pamela Gilligan says she's been taken for a ride. She sold Michael Crow a motorcycle. He crashed it. Now he refuses to pay.
You say you gave her how much money, sir?
I gave her a total of $300.
Oh, that's
Well,
not
first,
true.
just a
I
sec,
have
just
it
a
all
sec.
documented.
Just a second. Just a second. How did you give it to her? In check or cash?
No, I didn't have a checkbook at the time. I went to my ATM, pulled out $100. I
You
never
have
kept
receipts?
records.
You just
I never
second, you
had
have
records.
receipts?
I have
I don't
them.
have records.
I have everything on paper.
I gave her $100
Miss
bills.
Gilligan, all you have there is how much you say he paid you. Is that what you have in that?
Yeah.
Yes. All right. What I'm asking you for is proof, sir,
No, ma'am.
with deductions from your ATM over particular periods of time in $100 denominations. Do you have that?
This is over a year ago. No.
No. All right. The judgment of the court is for the plaintiff in the amount of $400. I believe that he gave you $100.
Oh, come on. Now, what am I supposed to do
believe-
with the motorcycle?
Listen, you sold it to him for $500. You're
But he
getting your
crashed it.
$500.
Now I have to get
That's
it fixed.
Party's excused. Step out, please. This way. Ma'am, this way. Out the back to your right, please.
She didn't even look at anything I had. She took his word. He's a lying person.
He's been in jail.
He's been in jail.
He's
He
only
wrecked
19
my
years
car
old.
for grand theft
auto more than one time.
Okay, so I had all this.
Hit you in your eye?
Yeah, Mike, that has a lot to do with it. Yeah, Mike, that has a lot
Like
to
I
do with
forged the bill
everything.
of sale for your truck and lies.
Yeah,
Lies.
yeah.
That's right. Okay.
Okay,
Never
so
got
she
your
didn't look
money
at
either,
anything
did
I
you?
had. Here he comes with.
And Greg Griffin say they lent money to Don Armando. He says he paid them back with a song. They won't hear of it.
Mr. Griffin.
Yes.
You say that you made a loan to the defendant of $550. He refuses to pay you back.
I did.
And Ms. Straub, you said you loaned the defendant $350 and he refused to pay you back.
Correct.
What'd you loan him the money for?
For rent on an apartment.
For him?
For him.
And what did you lend him the money for?
The same purpose.
About the same time?
At the exact same day.
Did he ask you for the money?
Yes, he did.
What did he say?
That he was going through a divorce and his assets were tied up and he needed the money to move out of his house and get into an apartment.
Were you a friend of his?
Yes.
Mr. Armando, why didn't you pay him back?
I didn't pay him back because I paid him in lieu of payment. I gave him a soundtrack. Miss Stubb, I've never received money from her. I received money from Mr. Griffin.
How much?
$800, $850.
Well, so what probably happened is he took the $350 from her.
So
in
I've been
total-
told, Judge.
Oh, okay.
So I've been told.
So it was
But-
really her money.
So I've been told. I
Okay,
didn't know
so let
that.
me hear. Why didn't you pay him back?
I didn't pay him back, as I said to you. In lieu of payment, I gave him a soundtrack.
Which is not his original work. It was.
Oh, did you make an arrangement with him instead of paying him back the money?
What there was there was a friendship at work. There was a sort of common sense thing going on. He needed a soundtrack. I needed a certain amount of money. We were just going back and forth, just sort of taking care of each other.
I already have the soundtrack that he gave me. He just dubbed a tape, a CD that my partner had given him. It
Mr.
wasn't original
Armando,
work.
tell me about this conversation that you
The
had with
conversation,
him.
okay.
Did you ask him for money? Because
Yes.
you were going through a divorce and you needed money for rent.
Yes, Your Honor.
That was on, let's say, a Monday.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you said you would pay him back.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor,
How-
when I went to the family court down in San Diego and pulled.
Just a second.
Okay.
You said you would pay him back.
Yes, Your Honor.
There came a time when you say a different arrangement was made. Tell me how much later this different arrangement was made, sir.
A month or so later. Maybe a month and a half, 2 months.
And tell me about the conversation.
The conversation was quite simple, not as succinct as tit for tat or quid pro quo, but sort of a common sense agreement.
Try as best as you can, sir. Not a quid pro quo, not a tit for tat. What was the conversation?
Greg, I know I owe you money. Here's a soundtrack until I can pay you back.
Wonderful.
Judge Judy will return in a moment.
This is a very easy case. See, we just decided the case. You owe him the money. Here's the soundtrack until I can pay you back. You give him the soundtrack, you got to pay him back. How long ago was this?
Since May.
April.
And how much?
Actually, it's March 11th.
He gave me a check.
And when did you say that you were supposed to pay him back the money?
There was no specific date.
All right, so you owe him the money. You got to pay him the money.
There was a specific date because he wrote me a check, a post-dated check.
Okay.
Dated in April, which we have
Sir,
here.
very easy. You were very honest. You were very truthful. You said, here's a soundtrack, hold on to it, do whatever you want with it until I can pay you back. That's what you just told me, correct?
Correct.
Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff. For Mr. Griffin, it's $550, and for Ms. Straub, $350. Thank you.
Ms. Olson, step forward, please.
Before Jennifer Martinek and Shannon Olson became roommates, they were friends. Now, there's nothing but hate between them.
Battling roommates. Right?
Yes.
Don't look so glum. I've read your complaint and answer. I'm a little confused. You moved in with the defendant on a 3-month lease. How did you meet?
I met her through a coworker who knew that she needed a roommate.
And you needed a room?
Yes.
Okay. So it sounds like a marriage.
Yes. She seemed normal. I liked the place. I moved in.
What happened?
And after the first week I moved in with her, I realized that she was very unstable. She had a very bad temper. There were numerous occasions.
That is not true.
Well, that's just one gal's opinion.
Of course. Yeah, there's...
So what happened?
Well, there were several occasions where she would have like these just outrageous outbursts, just start screaming at me over little
This is
things.
ridiculous. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. All
Listen
right?
to me.
No, I don't have to listen to you. I mean,
she has a suit against you for $2,080. You have a countersuit against her for $1,850.
If this is going to be a trash conversation, then I'm not going to do this. This is regarding a lease that you broke. And if you want to get,
Well, but what she says,
I
madam,
broke
is
the lease.
that you threw her out of the apartment.
I wasn't even there. We had a phone conversation.
What she says is that you threw her out of the apartment.
How could I throw her out when I was on the phone?
That's what I'm trying to find out. Because she said you threw her out of the apartment, and therefore she's not responsible for the last month or so of the lease, which you say she's
Right.
responsible for.
So the night in question is December 30th, not the beginning of December, beginning of November, end of November, that, I didn't like her, she didn't like me, and all of a
Well,
sudden
you clearly,
but
you clearly didn't. Listen to me.
You don't need to lead up
Listen
to it.
to
You need
me.
to just deal with the evening.
You clearly didn't. There wasn't probably one incident that brought it to a culmination back in December.
What difference does it make? We're talking about one incident that she's saying that this one incident, this argument that happened on the night in December is the reason why she packed her things and she left when I was not even on the premises.
Did
and
you
was
tell her to
calling
leave?
on the phone. I told her that I had, if it came down to it and the police came, that I had a copy of the lease and she would have to leave. Now, if she's brainless enough, excuse you, if she's brainless enough to think just because I have a copy of a lease that she has to leave or stay, you signed it.
You did, would you tell me again what you told her in that phone conversation? You had an argument.
Exactly what I told her. She said, I suggest you don't come home this evening. I had a friend that was in from San Luis Obispo. I said, well, I suggest you go to Cindy's house. The other girl who was at her apartment, or our apartment, had answered the phone when this whole verbal dispute started. And after I said, well, I suggest you go to Cindy's. And she goes, well, I don't know if she said I'll call the police or what happened. And I said, well, I'll call the police myself. And if they comes down to it, I have a copy of the lease. So what?
So then you moved out.
Yeah, but that's not what I recall happening. What happened is that my friend Cindy came over. She was staying over that night because I was afraid to stay alone in this apartment with her. And
I wasn't even home that evening. I mean,
I came home, she wasn't home. And
so your
she
friend
called.
Cindy was staying in the apartment?
Right. She was just there visiting. And she calling me every nasty name you can imagine, accusing me of playing her messages, which I had no idea what she was talking about.
This was a phone conversation?
And so she was just screaming at me, calling me terrible things. She hangs up the phone, calls back. I let the machine get it because I wasn't going to talk to her and
with her talking to me like that. And she left a message saying, you better move out or I'm having you arrested. You don't have a copy of the lease.
Well,
a few
brainless.
minutes later...
What difference does it matter if you have a copy of the lease or not? What difference does it make? Can you...
Okay, so you moved out.
Right. A few minutes later, the police arrived. They got a call from Manhattan Beach that there was a burglary in...
So the police arrived?
Brentwood, yes. And they heard her message.
You can't tell me what the... Listen to me. You can't tell me what the police heard, but the police did arrive.
Yes, they did.
Did you move out that night?
Yes.
What are you suing her for?
I'm suing her because I feel that I'm entitled to my deposit back, and she also took a pair of pants of mine that were $200.
Just a minute, how much was your deposit?
$625. I have a copy of the check that I made to her.
What's next?
That's your mental instability.
Okay, also just court fees, I think.
A case of roommates in conflict will continue in a moment. Before Jennifer Martinek and Shannon Olson became roommates, they were friends. Now, there's nothing but hate between them.
Now, you're countersuing for $1,850. For what?
Right. Jennifer moved in December 1st, signed a lease until February. Here's a copy of the lease with her signature.
I'd like to see it, please.
I'd also like to show that when I vacated, she had someone else.
Here's a letter from Ella Flynn, the owner, saying that she has not received delinquent rent of $1,150 from the owner. Here's a copy of my $1,250 security deposit, which I paid with a previous roommate. And here's a copy of my return check of $61 made out to Jennifer and myself because they took her unpaid rent of January and February and late fees totaling $1,130. Plus, I told her that the reason why she paid me the deposit was because the girl before her also left without a 30-day notice. And I told her, if you leave without a 30-day notice, I could care less about what she paid the owner. I will keep this deposit to pay for the rent if you leave without giving me a 30-day notice to find another roommate. So if you add the $1,130 plus the $600, you're close to $1,700. And then Jennifer decided that she was so damaged by this phone call that your cable bill that you paid, she decided to stop payment on cable that she already watched. So I had
Did you stop payment on a cable?
Yes, I was going to pay her a dime until I got my deposit back. And
how much was the check that you stopped the payment on?
The total charge was $54, $33 plus the $21 return check fee.
So what was the total?
$54.
Is that is that her half?
That's hers, $54.
Yes.
Plus the 12 plus the unpaid rent. I'm not even including the phone bill, the gas, and the electricity that I had to pay all by myself. She decided not to pay.
Did she pay? Did she pay the gas and utilities for the time she was there?
No, because she moved before because she left January 1st, and those bills came for December right at that time. And
how much was her share of the utilities bills?
I didn't keep it. I mean, gas, electricity's
so you're not
small
sure
compared to the 3 months of rent, 2 months of rent, the deposit, and the cable bill.
Mm-hmm.
It simply comes down to the fact that Jennifer signed the lease, and
there's a very simple issue.
Right.
And listen to me. And the very simple issue in this case is she signed the lease, and whether I believe that you told her to leave.
Judge Judy rules in a moment.
Whether she had cause to believe your threat, you question her mental stability if she believed you when you said you were going to call the police and had a lease. She say it was a lack of common sense. However, I believe her when she said that night, either fortuitously or as a result of a phone call from you, the police did arrive at the premises. So I believe she exercised reasonable judgment in moving out. Wow. So that's something that I have to resolve. I believe that you had this argument, and you told her that you were going to call the police. You did, in fact, call the police, and she left. So therefore, this lease is meaningless to me because the landlord, that's you, told her to move.
I'm not the landlord.
Yes, you are. You're her landlord. You are, in effect, her landlord if you have a lease that she signed, a lease to live with you for 3 months. And you're interrupting me. Now, she has $625 in a deposit. Did you pay December's rent?
Yes, I did.
Did she pay December's rent?
Yes.
So, and you moved out in January?
Yes.
And this $625 was just like a security deposit that you gave her, additional to the rent.
Yes.
The judgment of the court in this case is $625, less the $54 because you owe her for cable.
Well,
Do you understand that? You owe her for cable. That's you say nothing. Now I rule. It's $571. Judgment in favor of the plaintiff, and the counterclaim is dismissed. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. Step out, please.
Ex-lovers Pamela Lynn Krakenidis and Asil Bias are fighting over an injured dog. She says he let the dog loose for spite. He says it was an accident.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is number 62 on the calendar in the matter of Caraginitis versus Bias.
Thank you.
You see.
All right, Ms. Caraginitis, I read your complaint and I've read your answer, sir. You two people were living together?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
And you say in your complaint that he assaulted you very badly.
Yes, ma'am.
And he broke up.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were pressing charges.
Yes, ma'am.
Against him. He blackmailed you that if you continued to press the charges against him, he was going to let your dogs loose. Because
I have this note right here that he left on my mother's windshield of her car.
He assaulted you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to hear about the assault in a minute, because I'm really interested in that.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm interested in why you decided to drop the charges. But this lawsuit isn't about the assault on you.
No, it's not.
You went back to retrieve your dogs, and you found one of the dogs seriously injured.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're suing him for $145 for the vet bills.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what this case is about.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now I want to hear about the assault, and then I want to hear about why you dropped the charges. Tell me about the assault.
I came and drove up, and he had everything of mine out on the sidewalk in front of the house. He told me I could not enter the premises and to get the rest of my stuff, and he proceeded to grab me by the throat and slam me down on the ground and beat on me. I went to the neighbor.
When you say he beat on you, what exactly did he do?
He punched me twice in the face until I squirmed in between my trunks and got away from him and went to my neighbor's house to use the phone. The sheriff's department came out and arrested him for battery.
Mr. Bias,
Just
because you keep saying not true, I'm not hearing that, sir. I'm going to get to your version of the events in a minute.
I was dirt from head to toe. I had scratches on my elbows when he had slammed me down to the ground.
So you pressed charges?
Yes, ma'am, I did. And the sheriffs arrested him at the time. And it was only a verbal arrest because they gave him a ticket and told him he had to appear.
All right. And it was after that that you got this note that on the yellow paper?
Yes,
May I see
ma'am.
it,
On the 20th of May, he left this on my mother's windshield of her car.
If you want to keep your dogs here for 2 more weeks, that will be fined. I assume that means fine. If you drop the charges and sign a statement, otherwise, why should I do you any favors when you are going to try to prosecute me? If not, the fence will come down Monday at 4 p.m. Did you write this, sir?
Ma'am.
So you were really threatening her to drop the charges? Or else you
No, I wasn't threatening her. I was just telling her, you know, drop the charges against me because I never did nothing. I never punched her.
Oh. He was
I just pushed her, I just shoved her, and she fell over her dog bag.
Why did you shove her?
Because she was trying to get in my house.
Just a second. You had been living together for a while.
We have been living together 3 months. A week after she moved in, I wanted her out.
Well, but that's no reason to put your hands on somebody, sir.
You know, when she's over there slapping me.
Oh, no,
You didn't tell me she was slapping you. You said she was trying to get into the house.
She's over there trying to shove me and try to get in my house,
That doesn't sound like I was
and
trying to
all her
slap you
stuff
by
was
shoving you
outside.
if
I
I
said,
was
here's all
shoving
your
him."
stuff out here.
No.
All right.
I'm
Now-
sorry, he's lying, Your Honor.
Now, you left the dogs at his house.
Yes, ma'am.
And you did go down and sign a statement. Now I'd like to see the statement.
This is dated the 22nd of May. He typed it out first, and then as we were standing there when before the sergeant signed it, I told him, you write out on the bottom that my dogs could stay there, and it was witnessed by the sergeant from the sheriff's department on that with his badge number.
Well, then you signed the statement which says, I, Pamela Lynn Caraginitis, do hereby state that Asil Bias did not in any way abuse or hurt me. I do not wish to press any charges in any way against him whatsoever, and the dogs can stay until she has a place where the dogs can go. And she signed it and the sergeant witnessed it.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay. So now the dogs are at his house.
Yes, ma'am.
And you keep going over there to feed the dogs.
Every day I was
Well,
feeding
is
the
he
dogs
there
and
when you're
cleaning up the
going over
mess.
there to feed the
Sometimes
dogs?
he wasn't. He used to yell out of the house that he was going to take down the fence. Many times he called
Well,
the
how
house.
did this fence protect the dogs?
It kept them enclosed because there was other dogs that were wandering around that used to go by and antagonize him and try to attack him through the fence.
She called you and then said, I'm coming to pick up my dogs.
Yes.
And what happened?
Well, after that, and she called me and told me that she's going to come pick up her dogs. I told her I'm taking down the fence then.
And what'd you do with her dogs?
And the dogs were in the house.
And you...
The dogs were in the house.
You put the dogs in the house?
In the house before I even touched the fence.
And they were fine?
Yes.
In your house?
As far as I know, yes.
Just a second, as far as you know. If you took the
Because
dogs
I
out
never-
of the penned area and put them in your house, sir, you would have seen that there was blood on the dogs if there was blood on one of the dogs, wouldn't you?
No, I just opened up the gate and told them to get in. They got in. I never even looked at the dogs.
So you got there to pick up the dogs, and he said, go into the house and get the dogs. You went into the house, and what did you find?
I opened up the door, and the one Belgian Black Shepherd was standing there in front of me, and I looked at him, and he was bled from head to toe, and part of his ear was gone. And I said, what happened to my dogs? He goes, I don't know. I looked over, and there's blood on the gate, and there's blood all over his workout bench that he had inside the gate area, the fenced area where the dogs were at. I got upset. I said, okay, I'm taking him to the vet. He looked at the dog and he says, okay, the dog has been in a dog fight. I need to do cosmetic surgery on it to fix that ear, and he's got a hole on the top of his head.
You have a bill from the vet? Sir, you have, how much acreage do you have on your house?
This is not my house. It's just a rental. It's just...
How much
like-
acreage is in this rental, sir?
Like a quarter of an acre.
So it's a relatively small area.
Right.
And you're telling me that you didn't hear this dog yelping,
I
screaming,
wasn't
barking?
home. I was at work at that time, I guess.
I thought you were
I
taking down the
work- I
fence.
work-
Just a second. How could you have been
I work
at
from-
work? How could you have been at work if she called you? Did she call you at work or did she call you at home?
She called me at home before I went to work because I was working third shift.
And then you went to
From
work and
11:30
came back?
to 6:30 in the morning.
Just a minute. Then you went to work and came back?
Then I went to work, came home. Then I got the call in the morning from her saying she's coming to get the dogs. I said, okay, I'm taking down the fence.
I did not talk to him on the phone, Your Honor. I left a message on the answer machine at 9 o'clock telling him I was going to be there at 9:30 in the morning. When I drove up at 9:20, my fence was down. And that's when I approached the house and asked him where my dogs were. When I
Oh,
called
sir.
him on the phone, he said to me, I said, I want to know what happened to the dogs because the veterinarian says the dog's been in a dog fight. He says, okay, I'm going to tell you. The dog was in a dog fight with Smokey, the dog that lives up two doors that runs around loose. I came back to
Did you tell her that, sir?
What did she say?
That the dog was in a dog fight with Smokey?
No, I did not.
Yes, you did.
No.
I talked to you on the phone from the veterinarian
I did
office.
not.
Oh, yes, I
Well,
did.
what'd you tell her?
Your Honor, I would like to say something else besides her dog getting her ear off because she did a $5,000 damage to my brand new truck. laid a key mark all the way down from the nose of my truck to the back.
That is
and I
for-
do have a witness on that.
Sir, that is for another day. You want to sue her for
But
that?
I could have countersued her for that, but all I want to do is let her leave me alone.
You want to countersue her for that? You have to file a claim, sir, and the court will entertain that. Right now we're here for these vet bills, $145. How do you say that the dog was injured? Clearly the dog was injured. I just seen the bills.
I never knew.
You never
Until
knew.
that morning when she was over, and she said, oh, well, how do I know?
Okay.
I didn't bite the dog's ear off.
Judge Judy is ready to rule. The case of assault and an injured dog continues in a... Ex-lovers Pamela Lynn Krakenidis and Asil Bias are fighting over an injured dog. She says he let the dog loose for spite. He says it was an accident.
First of all, I think, madam, that you were foolish to drop your assault charges.
I
because
believe I was, too.
nobody is entitled to put their hands on another human being, whether they're married to each other, whether they're boyfriend and girlfriend, whether they're niece and nephew. You're not allowed to put your hands on another human being. Don't speak, listen. You, sir, agreed to keep these dogs, and within that agreement is the promise to keep the dogs safe, because you agreed to hold her property until she could safely remove the dogs. You did not do that, sir, and therefore you are responsible for the damage that was done to the dogs and for her vet bills, and she is suing for $145. She is entitled to that money, and the judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $145.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Step out, please.
I feel that I was done wrong, and I've been putting up with his harassment for the last year now, and finally justice has been done.
I'm glad it's over with. I'm glad that she's out of my life. Hopefully that now that she won, I won't get a pull.
Hillary Webb and Sandra Moore went for a European holiday. Now, Hillary Webb wants Sandra Moore to pay her share, but Moore says she was turned into a slave.
Miss Webb, you say in your complaint that you and the defendant, Miss Moore, were old friends. You knew each other since 1989, that you took a vacation to Europe together, that she didn't have any money at the time, that you put her share of the vacation on your credit card, and that she owes you $4,270.
That's correct, ma'am.
And Miss Moore, you say that you told her that you didn't have any money for a vacation.
Yes, ma'am.
And she insisted that you go on a vacation.
Yes, ma'am.
And that you were treated like a servant when you
Yes,
were on
ma'am.
a vacation. So it was a vacation for Miss Webb.
Yes, ma'am.
But for you, you carried the bags, you made the hotel reservations, you checked at the airports. You were sort of like her slave on this vacation.
Yes, ma'am.
And you owe her nothing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What kind of a relationship did you have before you went on vacation? You've known each other since '89?
Yes, I met Sandra in 1989, and at that time she offered to help me in my business should I need some help on the weekends. So in 1990 I called her and we became friends. We began to associate with one another in that way and share a lot of common interest.
You say there
with our
came a
native
time when
culture.
she moved into your house. Tell me about that.
I offered her partial use of my back bedroom, which is also my office, and we understood this to be a temporary arrangement while she would save up some money for an apartment and get back on her feet.
Was there rent that was paid?
At the very beginning, I was under the understanding that I paid $250 rent and that I could come and go as I please. At that time did not entail me doing any type of housework except maintaining the room that I was in.
Did you expect her to do any kind of work in the house?
I believe that when we first discussed this, I said that I would need to have partial help with the housework as a roommate
Which I
would
didn't
have.
mind at all doing, Your
No,
Honor.
she didn't mind that a bit,
Well,
and she
what
did
kind of
help
work?
me.
There were days when I would come back home and I would have notes on my bed asking me to do a list. And
Give me an example of the list.
Please water the yard, vacuum the floor, please do the dishes, and things like that. And then
Did you ask her to do a lot of things around the house?
I asked her to do what I figured was a fair share.
She asked me
she
more
had
than her what I consider a fair share because I didn't have any privacy at all, Your Honor, at night or anything else. She would wake me up in the middle of the night when she got lonely or depressed and come in there and wake me up at like at 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning and then keep me up.
Is that right?
No. Yes, it is too, Hillary, and you know it's right. You did it 2 or 3 times to me, and don't sit there and say you didn't do it, because you did do it. And there would be days when I would go to work with less than 2 hours sleep.
There are also many times when I talked with Ms. Moore with her problems that were her problems.
Right, but
and
not
we
to
were
2
up at night
o'clock
as
in the
well.
morning or during the week.
Tell me
Hillary.
about this vacation now. You decided to go on a vacation.
Yes,
Tell
we
me
did.
how you say you made the arrangements with her, Miss Webb.
Yes, in February we began to talk.
You began. You were the one that started it, and I told you at that time that I couldn't afford it, and that there was no way that I could save $5,000 by September. And you said, don't worry, that we would work on it, and we would get you some kind of a money. And we did all kinds of stuff, and I spent approximately $300 or thereabouts trying to get a loan or secured credit card so that I could pay my portion of the bill, and I never could. And when I got the first bill from where she had put stuff on it, it was like $65, and I'm telling her, I don't think I can do this. And then when the big one came, I told her, I says, I can't do this. I can't afford this. I can't go. And she insisted that we go because she said that this was the last time she would be able to go to England or Ireland, that she had to go, that this would be the last chance she would be able to go.
Is that what you told her?
At every instance where I added charges for our joint trip, which we did plan together, and I do have documents that will show
Yes,
that.
we planned them together, but most of the time it was on your part, and you knew I couldn't afford it from the very beginning.
If I may answer the question, please. When we added the new charges, I said this will be going on there next. It doesn't have to go on. I offered several times to cancel the trip. We
And
took out...
tell in, Hillary, when it was almost to the point where you could not even back out if you wanted to.
Did she pay for her trip by being a servant? The case. Hillary Webb and Sandra Moore went for a European holiday. Now, Hillary Webb wants Sandra Moore to pay her share, but Ward says she was turned into a slave.
Ms. Moore, did she offer to cancel the trip?
She did, Jared, but it was to the point where I would still have to owe the money.
All the money?
All the money, yes, sir.
No.
We took out trip insurance in case there should be some catastrophic event that would prevent one or the other of us from going. My father's health is very frail. I was quite worried.
So you took out
You
insurance?
didn't even tell your father until 2 weeks before we left, Hillary.
This is correct. I did not tell my father
right,
until
and
2
you were
weeks
telling me
before we left.
how scared you were to tell him because you knew that he would jump all over you for taking that trip.
Miss Moore, you don't sound like a lady who gets pushed around easily.
Yes, I do, too. Right now, I'm mad, Your Honor. I'm very mad because of the fact that I feel she took advantage of my friendship and the fact that the whole time that we were on this trip, I was not allowed to do the things I wanted. I had to be right under Mrs. Webb's control all the time.
Explain that to me.
If I wanted to go, I wanted to do one thing. She says, no, you can't do that because I can't afford it. But yet we could afford other things. I wanted to go down to the pub for beer. And she didn't want to go.
So why
didn't you go by yourself?
Because I knew what would come afterwards. You would sit there and pout and cry and tell me what a bad person I was.
You're still perfectly free to go by yourself.
Bull, pardon my expression.
Oh.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Just to give you an example, we were in England on a private tour, and the tour guide got us down, and we're in a pub, and he said, would you ladies like a drink? She says, no, she doesn't drink. And I said, I believe I would. She got mad, went outside and cried and told me that she thought it was very inconsiderate of me to ask for a beer.
And I was also extremely ill at the time.
Listen, you know, when friends travel on a trip together, look, let's start from the beginning. When people who are married start on a trip together, very often there's a lot of give and take.
Yeah,
sometimes more give, sometimes more take, but that's what happens. Two ladies traveling on a trip, there's bound to be some give and take. Quite frankly, Miss Moore, I haven't heard anything so far in your testimony that suggests this slavery that you refer to.
You weren't there, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
Well, I wasn't there. I didn't want to go to Europe with Miss Webb. You did, and you went with her.
Mary Catherine, ask my daughter. My daughter is here also, and she saw different things. I mean, it was just not on the tour, Your Honor.
Now we're talking about the tour.
Right. It's just that I had to make sure, I mean, it was like she couldn't take her suitcases. I had to lug the suitcases up.
Why couldn't she take the suitcases?
Because she's overweight and she has a problem.
Just a second. She didn't balloon up right before the trip.
No.
So you knew that
I know,
going
but I
in
expected
to the trip.
some kind of a help, Your Honor.
You didn't say to her, Miss Moore, look, I'll go on the trip with you. The trip costs $10,000. And instead of my paying $5,000, if I'm going to be really a companion for you for certain things because you can't do certain things physically yourself, I should get something back. So my share of the trip will be $3,000 and you pay the extra $2,000. You knew what her disabilities were because you lived together.
Right.
So you sort of expected that there were certain things that you could do more easily because you're trimmer and perhaps can move in a more agile fashion.
Judge Judy rules in a moment.
Trip together. She gave you an opportunity to cancel the trip right before you went on it. You said no.
But it was done in anger to make me feel guilty if I canceled the trip. The way she said it to me and she got into my face. We had a knockdown, drag-out fight before we went on this trip because
1 month before. There was still time to cancel.
What was this fight about?
Finish, please?
Just a second. What was the fight about?
That's what I'm fixing to tell you. That when I'm sitting there and I didn't do something and she was upset because I didn't do it, and I told her what the hell was I supposed to do? I could only do so much and prepare everything, and we were yelling and screaming.
The thing she didn't do, Your Honor, was to put 2 chicken pies in the oven and bake them.
Well, I mean,
I beg your pardon. It wasn't that. It was a little bit of everything. The way your attitude was like I didn't have time to do nothing, and I had plenty of time to do it, and I had done everything up to that point, and you could have put them in there just as easy as I could.
You two ladies took a trip together. You agreed to pay for the trip. You didn't have a good time on the trip. Now you don't want to pay for the trip.
I tried paying for the trip to Yarna. I do not, and she knew that I had financial problems before.
You shouldn't have gone.
I agree, and I wish to God I never went.
Well, you went. So now you owe her $4,270. That's the judgment of the court. Thank you very much. Case is over.
Parties are excused. Step out, please. Forward, please.
Sisters Valerie McCovey and Andrea Sharp are at war over their late mom's funeral, the money she left, the car, and even the refrigerator.
Order. All rise. All rise. Your Honors, number 59 on the calendar in the matter of McCovey versus Sharp. Be seated.
I've read your papers.
Yes, Your Honor.
Why is it that all too often when parents die and leave children, those children end up fighting with each other over money? It's an old story. I think after reading your complaint and answer that I'm having second thoughts about my own children. What I think I'm going to do is spend it all while I'm here so that my children won't have anything to fight about. Right now I have a case. You're suing your sister for $5,000. You say that your mother died.
Yes, Your Honor.
And your father was killed in an accident. Well, there was a wrongful death action.
Wrongful death
and that was settled for, you say, $197,000.
Yes.
Your sister got all that money. She got all of your mother's property. And
Yes.
according to you, and this is, I think, a quote from your complaint,
Yes,
you didn't
Your
even
Honor.
get a bobby pin.
No, not a bobby pin.
And so you want something from your mother. In this case, you want $5,000 from your sister, who you
Yes,
say
Your
got
Honor.
everything.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, did your mother leave a will?
She was too sick and too ill to leave a will. I take care of my mother for 14 years of my life. My mother was totally blind. I was her eyesight, I was her everything. I devoted my entire life to her.
And then, but you left.
No, I didn't leave. My sister moved in her home after I had moved out.
Well,
and
why
I
did you move
continue
out?
on to take care of my mother.
Why did you move out if you were living with your
Because
mother
I
for
found
14
my own
years?
place at that time.
Your Honor, that's not true.
Well, I'm going to get to you in a second. You were living with your mother for 14 years.
Yes.
And then you moved out.
Because she moved in and we could not get along. We haven't been able to get along all of our lives. This is something has not just started. You know, you've heard me for many of years, ever since we were children. And it's got to stop somewhere.
So you moved.
It's going to have to end.
Listen, I hope they can end here. You moved out. Your sister moved in.
Yes.
How long did your mother live after you moved in?
My father passed away in 1990, and my sister moved in for about a year. And when she moved in, she didn't assist in paying any bills. My mother's house was up for foreclosure.
That's not true.
And because of her not paying the bills and my mother was not able to, then I gave up my place and I moved in.
Who asked you to?
My mom. Because her house was in foreclosure. She was not doing anything to try to save the house.
So you moved in?
Yes.
She did not pay the bills, Your Honor. My mother was well paying her own bills. My mother had...
How could she pay her own bills if she couldn't see?
Because I was paying it out of her Social Security until my sister moved in and taken all of her Social Security checks, endorsed them, cashed them, placed them into her own account, and used them for her own pleasures, went on vacations,
Well, somebody
went on
had
tours,
somebody
trips,
had
everything. The house
social.
foreclosed.
Listen, nobody gets rich on Social Security.
She let the house foreclose. She didn't pay a dime.
Your Honor, I've been working on my job. I've been on my job for 16 years.
What property, then, are you suing your sister for?
Her property that my dad bought my mother a retirement home in Mobile, Alabama, the state of Mobile, Alabama.
Okay. What happened with that home?
It was heir property. She sold it. It was never to be sold. She sold it and taken every
Well, whose
cent.
name was it in?
My parents' name.
Well, there must have been, listen to me, there must have been a will. There must have
was
been
no
some
will.
document that permitted her to
There
sell it.
was no will. There were no will.
How did you come to sell that house?
I have power of attorney
That was
where
rigged
I
up. She
am
rigged
to
this
make
paper
any
up.
decisions for my mother. This power of attorney, my mother signed it, and it was notarized in her
It didn't go
home.
to court, and neither did my mother agree on it. My mother was totally blind, and she did not agree on this power of attorney. You had that rigged up, and you signed for her.
Well, I have two witnesses here. And this was October 28th, 1994.
I have no
and it's a
knowledge of
notarized,
that.
And it's a notarized statement, but I'd like you to see it. How much money was realized from the property?
$52,000.
Okay, what happened with that $52,000?
The $52,000 was spent on another
pleasure.
house up on my mother's wishes for me to purchase here in Los Angeles
For
for
herself.
for the family, the
Okay.
entire family.
Okay, so you did that.
Yes, I did.
Who's living in that house now?
I am.
Well, if your mother wanted you to use that money...
She wanted it for her grandkids.
This is
For
not
all-
true, Your Honor. My mother never got to live in this home, not even one day. Matter of fact, the day that my sister moved to Moreno Valley in the house, my mother was on 24-hour oxygen. My sister taken my mother all the way to Moreno Valley from Dominguez Hills with no oxygen and smothered her to death. She was on a life support machine
sad.
for at
Your
least
Honor,
21 days
I can't
before
really
she
sit
died.
Here and allow her to tell all
And
these lies because
that is
my
murder.
sister
Listen
has
to me.
never
I can't
done-
hear everybody at
She
the
was
same
supposed to
time.
have 24-hour oxygen.
Did you hear this?
My sister has never done anything
Did you
for
hear
my
this?
mother.
I gave
Watch
my whole
this.
entire life.
I don't want to use it. I want to trace this $52,000. You got $52,000 from your mother's home.
Yes,
She
I
said
did.
she wanted you to buy a home for the whole family.
This is true.
Did she ever live in that house?
Yes, she did.
For how long?
For 2 weeks.
All right, and then she died.
Yes, she did.
This
well,
is
the
not
whole
true.
Hey! The whole family includes your sister.
Yes, it does.
Whose name is the house in?
It's in my name.
Why didn't you put it in your mother's name and your name?
My mother didn't want it in her name, and plus, not only
I don't
that,
necessarily believe that.
No, can I just finish? please?
Yes.
Not only that, my mother didn't qualify. I was the only one that was able to qualify to get the house.
But you have $52,000 worth of equity in
All
that
that-
house
no.
now. Shh. You have $52,000 worth of equity in that house now that really is your mother's estate. Did she have any other
Precisely.
major money other than this $52,000?
May I show you something?
Just answer my, no, I want you to answer my question.
Did
I'm
she have
pretty
anything else? No, she didn't.
Your sister is part of the family.
Yes, she is.
Then she's entitled to a piece of that
and
house.
she's never been denied, Your Honor.
Well,
she has never
you're
been
living,
denied
just a
as
second,
far
you're
as-
living there with your husband?
No, boyfriend.
With your children?
Yes.
And your boyfriend, you the
And
boyfriend?
and her son.
My son
which
doesn't
I've
live
been
there.
taking care
My
of
son
ever
does
since
not
he
live
was
there,
a
Your Honor.
little child.
Just a second. How old is your son?
My son
He's
is 20
18.
years old.
Well, if he lives there because you say he
My
lives
son
there.
lives in Dominguez Hills. He doesn't even live there. He still stays in Dominguez Hills.
Whether he does or not, I
She's
believe
a
that he...
notorious
Hey!
liar.
Listen, I see that I'm not going to make peace between you two people. Miss Sharp, I want you to listen to me very carefully. I do have a sense that both of you have been fighting all of your lives. I don't know why. I'm sure that that was a cause of great distress for your mother when she was alive.
Precisely.
Am I right?
You're very right.
All right. In her death, clearly you two people are not going to make peace.
Not in this life.
Now, clearly, I can't say to you two battling sisters, you should all move into the house together because your mother would like it, because then we'd have a homicide. There is no question in my mind that we would have a homicide.
This is true.
Judge Judy is ready to rule in a moment.
I've read the complaint. I've read your answer. You both accuse each other of being insensitive to your mother.
I asked her.
Listen to me.
anything for my mother.
Listen to me. You both make accusations. I'm not going to get to the bottom of those accusations, nor am I going to attempt to do that because I have a very busy calendar. All I'm telling you is she has a right to share in whatever your mother left. What your mother left was $52,000. The most she can sue for in this court is $5,000. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And since there was no will, and since it does appear that you have all of your mother's property, that doesn't sound right to me. So the judgment of this court is for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That may not make you feel better, but move on with your life. Do you understand?
Yes, Your
That's
Honor.
all.
Will not bring my
That's
mother
all.
down.
Parties are excused. Step out, please.
Carol Ledette was hungry for soul food. She went to Realist Hills restaurant. Before she could take a bite, her chair collapsed, ruining her appetite and her back.
Mr. Steinberger, you represent the plaintiff. Mr. Hobson, you represent the defendant.
That's correct, Your Honor.
You were eating at the defendant's restaurant.
Yes.
You'd eaten there before?
Yes.
Sitting on a stool.
I went to sit on the stool, yes.
Describe the stool to me.
A wooden bar stool.
What happened?
I came into the restaurant, and he has a lip under the, the front part of the counter. I stepped on that, and I went to sit down, and I set my purse on the counter, and the next thing I looked, I was on the floor.
The stool legs broke?
Yes.
Were you hurt?
Yes.
How long have you owned this restaurant?
2 years.
You know the plaintiff. She's eaten in your restaurant before?
I don't know her personally, but she has been in the restaurant before.
So you think you're responsible for the stool that broke under her weight?
No, I don't.
You don't?
No, sir. No, ma'am.
Okay. Well, that's the case. You're suing for $5,000, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
This is one of those lovely cases at this time of the day because that means I can sort of sit back and, now that I've set the stage, relax. Mr. Steinberger, you may proceed, sir. You have 4 minutes.
4 minutes, Your Honor.
Yes.
I'll make it real quick, Your Honor. The gentleman over there is you owner of Ruth's Kitchen?
Yes, I am.
And
He
your
acknowledges that, Mr. Steinberger. Get to the injuries.
The injuries. Did you go into Ruth's Kitchen to eat food?
Yes, I did.
What did you order?
Chitlins.
What is
No,
chitlins?
no, injuries, not that what was
Well,
here.
I have to explain one thing before. I have to preface it to make sure that we have the basic background on this. I'll get to the injuries. I promise you I will.
What basic background that I didn't
I
cover?
will offer proof. The background is that they serve food over there, chitlins. What are chitlins made out of?
I don't care, Mr. Steinberger. Mr. Steinberger, listen to me, sir. Listen to me, sir. We cut to the chase. Listen to me. I've already established liability.
Fine.
Get over it.
Fine.
His
got medical
restaurant,
bills.
his stool, it broke. He's sort of an insurer for that stool that when it's used properly, it's not supposed to break. He doesn't say you have to be a certain weight in order to sit on the stool. You don't have that in a sign anywhere, do you,
No,
sir?
I do. No,
Right?
no.
Now, your lawyer is very quiet because he knows that what I'm saying is true. Right, Mr. Hobson?
I'll hold my argument, Your Honor.
Okay. Very good. Good idea. Get to the injuries.
Did you fall off the stool?
Yes, I did.
Did you hurt yourself?
Yes, I did.
What kind of injuries did you sustain?
My back, my head hit the plant, and my elbow hit the floor.
Okay, and did you go see a physician?
Yes, I did.
Mr. Steinberger, you're not going to ask her to tell me what the doctor told her, are you, sir?
No, you know, Your Honor, I'm not going to do that.
Good.
Do you know what was wrong with you?
I know
Mr.
my
Stein,
back was hurt.
Her back hurt, and she hurt her head and she hurt her elbow. You have medical bills, Mr. Steinberger?
Yes, Your Honor.
Get them out.
Would you like to see them, Your Honor?
Have you seen them, Mr. Hobson?
No, I have not, Your
Show
Honor.
them to counsel.
Thank you.
Any objection to the court seeing them, Mr. Hobson?
No objection, Your Honor.
Thank you. You've had a lot of accidents in your life.
Yes, ma'am.
You were shot in the stomach during a carjacking?
Yes.
That was in 1990?
Yes. 1991.
1991.
6 bullets in the stomach and 2 in the inner thigh.
They get the guy?
No.
It's a guy?
Yes.
You're a lucky lady.
Thank you.
The case of a broken bar stool, a hurt back, and a soul food restaurant will continue in a moment. Carol Ledette was hungry for soul food. She went to Realus Hills restaurant. Before she could take a bite, her chair collapsed, ruining her appetite and her back.
Medical bills totaled $3,024.50. Most of that was for chiropractic treatment and some physical therapy.
Yes.
Since your last accident, which was in 1980, well, not really 1991 when you were shot, had you been feeling okay?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Hobson, I'm ready for you.
May I ask some questions of the plaintiff, Your Honor? Thank you. Ma'am, was this your regular treating physician that you went to?
No, it wasn't.
Who sent you to that doctor?
Objection, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Who sent you to the doctor?
The attorney, because I didn't have a doctor.
Okay. And you didn't pay that bill, did you?
No, I haven't paid the bill yet.
No, you took it on a lien, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Ma'am, is this the chair that you were sitting on the date of this incident? You remember this? Does it appear to be the stool?
It appears to be
Your Honor,
one of the
objection.
same stools.
Objection. Hold on. Your Honor, there's no authentication of that
Objection's
stool.
overruled. Does that appear to be the stool?
It appears to be just like the stool I sat in.
Unless that stool came with a disclaimer that only people of a certain weight could sit on it, your client, who is the proprietor of a restaurant that invites in the public, invites them in as almost an insurer that they can use anything in his restaurant when used in its intended purpose. An intended purpose of a stool is to sit on. The fact that Miss Ledette is healthy looking doesn't mean that she has to come in and say, listen, is that stool going to hold me?
But if my
She's
client
been in
had
that...
no notice of this, Your Honor,
Then, counsel...
you can't hold him liable.
Oh, that's not true, sir.
Your Honor.
That's not true, and you know that.
Counsel, are you
Mr.
really
Steinberger, don't you know that when you're winning, you're supposed to be
Sorry.
quiet? That's the first thing that they taught me in law school.
Absolutely. I'm going to be quiet.
Right. He bought the stool from somebody,
I would imagine, so you'd have to ask that, Mr.
right?
Hill.
Right.
Sue him. She doesn't have to sue the people that you bought the stool from. She came into your restaurant and was injured through no fault of her own. Because if you wanted people who weighed only 115 pounds or less to come into your restaurant, you could put up a sign that say, the stools in my restaurant only hold people who weigh 115 pounds or less. Your weight hasn't changed over the course of the time you've been eating there?
No, and they don't have no sign up for Twiggy over here and Miss Peaky over here. They have a lot of stools. I've sat on all of them before.
Mm-hmm.
And it was my first time there.
Okay. Would you return this to counsel, please? All right, if you want 30 seconds, counsel, 30 seconds, sum up.
Thank you very much. Your Honor, she walked in, as Your Honor so wisely said, she was a business invitee. Business invitees are guaranteed by the law to be protected on your premises. You want their money, you got to protect their body. You didn't do this in that case. You didn't protect her body. That stool broke. When did you inspect the stool?
You're not asking questions
I'm
now.
sorry,
You're summing
I'm being
up.
retarded.
You're finished. Go.
Your Honor, it's obvious that the stool is broken, as counsel has so stated. But it's our position that this young lady sat on it in an improper way and that the damages are inflated. It's not common for these doctors to run up the bills knowing that in these types of cases there will be an award usually based on the amount of the doctor bills. It's a soft tissue injury. I would say that her damages are nowhere the $5,000 that she's asking.
Judge Judy rules in a moment.
Mr. Hill, when you invite someone into your restaurant, you run a business, you are practically an insurer of their health while they're in your restaurant. And they should be protected from the usual course of conduct that a patron of that establishment engages in this case, sitting on a chair and eating. You are responsible for her injuries. The next question is, what are her injuries? I believe that Miss Ledette is an honest person, and I believe her when she says to me that to this day, standing in one location, she still has lower back pain. So I find that the bills that were submitted for treatments were necessary because she does say, and I believe her, that she was in pain up until today. She is requesting that this court enter a judgment in her favor in the amount of $5,000, which is $2,000 over and above the medical bills, and I believe that she is entitled to that. Therefore, the judgment of the court is for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. All parties on Gonzalez versus Henderson. Step forward, please.
Vicky Gonzalez and Bruce Henderson fell in love. They lived in a car. Now they are fighting over their mobile home.
Order, all rise. Order, all rise. Your Honor, this is number 32 on the calendar in the matter of Gonzalez versus Henderson.
Thank you, Bert.
Be seated.
Ms. Gonzalez, I've read your complaint and I've read your answer, sir. You say you were involved in a relationship with Mr. Henderson. He was your boyfriend for a while. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
It was a rather tumultuous and violent relationship at times. It says in your complaint that you moved in and out of relatives' homes, parents' homes, etc., and you finally ended up living in his car.
Yes, Your Honor.
Which was a 1970 Ford Mustang.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then you had a fight in the Mustang, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And when you separated, he sold you the Mustang for $1,500. And then later he came by your sister's house where the car was parked and stole the car out of the driveway.
Yes, Your Honor.
Why were you sleeping in this car?
Because when I was living with my sister, Bruce came over on occasions, and a couple of times he pushed me around and stuff, and the neighbors called the police out, and they had to remove the Bruce from that house.
No, they didn't,
my
Your Honor.
sister, and my sister.
No, they didn't, Your Honor.
Well, I'm still trying to get to how come you got to live in this car.
Yes. Okay. So I ended up breaking up with him, and the next day I got back together with him because I felt sorry for him. And then my sister said that she did not want Bruce at the house, so I told her that fine, I would move out with him.
And so then you ended up in the car.
We ended up in the car.
Wonderful. Not very good judgment, madam.
No, Your Honor.
Now, you say, sir, that you would never have sold her this car for $1,500 because it was a prized possession of yours. It's worth a lot more, these old Mustangs.
Yes.
You say that he gave you a bill of sale?
Yes, he did.
Can I see it, please?
Yes, you may, Your Honor.
And, Your Honor, the registration and the identification, the insurance card, she stole it out of the car.
Well, first let me see if he gave her a bill of sale for the car.
All right.
Did you sign this, sir?
No, ma'am, that don't look like my
Did you sign that?
No.
Mm-hmm. You know what your problem is, Miss Gonzalez?
No, Your Honor.
I'm going to tell you what your problem is. You spelled his name wrong on the bill of sale.
I didn't, Your Honor.
I want you to take a look at what. I want you to take a look. It's going to show you. I'm going to show you the bill of sale.
Like I said, Your Honor.
Just a second.
I'm sorry.
You're not supposed to talk when you're winning, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's a cardinal rule in the court. When you seem to be winning, you're not so. Why in the world would he spell his name wrong on that document, on everything else that you have, madam?
Your Honor, his name is not spelled wrong.
Sure it is. There's an E at the end.
That's not an E. That's just a loop he added onto it.
No, it's an E.
Your Honor, I did not
Let me
sign
see
this,
it.
and nobody forged this. I took that home the same day to my sister. I did not forge the signature. Otherwise, the DMV would have stopped it right there.
Let me hear from you, sir. Did you sell her this car?
No, Your Honor.
How'd she manage to get the car in her possession for you to take back?
Well, what it was we got into a fight, and I got out and I walked, and she took off. And
I just want to go through with you once more before I make a decision in this case, Miss Gonzalez. First, were any of these letters written to you after this breakup?
There was one of them.
Why don't you give these back to her? Let her find out.
This one right here was written after the breakup.
After
And
the breakup.
It's
Can I
not.
see it?
It's not signed. This was written. This is one of the ones he brought me the day that he came to my work. The day he stole back the car, he brought me that letter.
Okay.
Before, when he asked me for the keys, the car, so he could borrow it to go to the interview, he brought me that letter. And there's another one. I don't remember which other one came with it, but that letter.
See, I have certain things that trouble me about what you say. And quite frankly, this is a question of who I believe. And it's very hard to tell whether or not you gave him $1,500. I mean, you have no proof as to where you got the money from.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, but I wanted to add one more thing. On the bill of sale, okay, the day he gave me the car was the 13th of February. I think he took my money with the intention of taking the car back, put that thing on it intentionally, because on the date that he put on the bill of sale is the 24th, and he stole the car back before the 24th so that I couldn't put the car in my name. So that right there.
Your Honor.
He did that.
That
He
is-
gave me the car, took my money with the intention of taking it back and keeping my money. He wrote it for the 24th, and he gave me that car on the 13th, the day before Valentine's
Well,
Day.
let me take a look. Are
Your
you
Honor.
saying? Shh, quiet, sir. I want to look at this really very carefully.
Okay.
So you're going to have to give me a second, because while it's true,
But
that
there's
they
no
ne-
money. She did not give me no money. I'm just trying to point out the fact that I did not receive no money, and there's no way I want to sell the car. I'm sorry. Your
I don't know whether I believe you, but I heard you. Now, clearly the name is spelled wrong, but you're saying that he wrote this in his own hand. Is that right?
He
wrote
wrote it
this.
with his-
Now I want to try to check the rest of it against the signature. Can I see the other letters that he sent to you? Because see the way he spells your name, the way he writes your name.
Your Honor, I did write that, but she was supposed to be taking it to my parents as a prank, and my parents didn't know about
Oh, good. Now
No,
we're getting
no,
somewhere.
no,
Just
no.
a second.
No,
so
it's
now
not
what
a
you
bill of sales.
Hey, just a second.
it. Wait,
No, you wait for me. Now you wait for me. So now you admit, sir, that you wrote this. Is that right?
not the intentions to sell the car, Your Honor.
That's not my question. Did you write it?
I did not sign my name at the bottom.
Did
I
you
wrote the
write it?
letter thing. But
Did
I
you?
did not sign my name.
You did sign your name, Bruce.
Judge Judy is ready to rule. Who owns the car they lived in? Will continue in a moment. Vicky Gonzalez and Bruce Henderson fell in love. They lived in a car. Now they are fighting over their mobile home.
Now that I was going to look at it, you acknowledge, sir, that you wrote this. Is that correct?
Your Honor, I wrote something to that effect, but it was not a bill of sales. I do
It
not
says,
know what that
and
says.
I will read it. What do you mean you didn't know what it said? You wrote it. It
No,
says,
I do not know what that paper
Bruce
says.
D. Henderson, hereby give my 1970 white Ford Mustang license plate number 385BES to Vicky Gonzalez as of 2/24/96. And it's signed 2/24/96. It also has the VIN number of the car, right? And it says sold for $1,500.
No, Your Honor, I did not write that then.
Your Honor, yes, he did.
There was another one there. It was supposed to be like a paper so she could drive around with the car without me. It was supposed to be like a thing,
But Your
like
Honor, why
adding her
would he
to
do that
the
for me
insurance.
if we supposedly had this big fight
But, Your
and
Honor,
he had
this
no
was-
intention of giving me the car? We were already broken up. Why would he give me something so I can drive the car around?
Just a minute. I don't know, but I'm prepared after his acknowledgement, finally, that he did write this.
No, I did not write that one.
Oh, yes, you did, sir. I've just compared this with all the letters that you wrote to her, with the way you sign her name, with the way you write her name. You wrote this.
No, I didn't, Your Honor.
You just told me you did.
No, I wrote.
And then it
I
was
told
a
you,
prank.
Your Honor. I wrote one as of letting her to drive the car, and that was
Judgment
supposed
in
to be
this
the
case
prank.
is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. Step out, please.
I feel Vicky Gonzalez is a bitch that's going to take everybody for the money.
Get out of here! I'm happy that the judge saw my weight, but Bruce, the defendant, lives just 2 blocks from me, and I'm scared. I have a restraining order against him, but, you know, that doesn't always protect people.
Dog, then another, after buying them both from this kennel owner. Now they want them to pay for their grief.
Well, this case is about every animal lover's nightmare. Mr. Stewart, you bought a puppy from the defendant, and after 6 months, the puppy had to be put to sleep because puppy had a hip problem.
Yes, Your Honor.
What kind of puppy was that, sir?
It was a Labrador Retriever.
And I assume in 6 months' time you loved that puppy.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then you went back to the defendant and you gave her some more money because you picked out another dog from her kennel, a pug,
Yes, Your Honor.
and you brought that puppy home. And what happened?
I had put it to sleep. It died.
From
parvo.
So you're suing for not only your veterinarian bills for these 2 dogs, but also for the cost of the dogs.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I have some questions for you, Miss Wagner. How many different kinds of dogs do you breed?
I'm not the breeder of either one of these dogs per se.
So you get them from someplace?
Sometimes I buy them if people want them. Like if
Where do you buy them from?
From hunters and breeders, and primarily, mostly California breeders. But sometimes when there's hunters...
You know the term puppy mill?
Yes, I do, but I'm not one, Your Honor.
The first dog that Mr. Stewart bought, was that a dog that you had bred?
No, I bought that from a hunter.
You buy these puppies, most of the puppies that you sell, you buy from other people.
Sometimes, yes, not always.
Okay.
It's a kennel, Your Honor, not a pet store per se.
Well, I understand that. Yeah. But most kennels that I'm familiar with, and I'm just using my own life's experiences, the ones that I have dealt with, deal with one kind of dog. They're very careful about the selection of the dogs, about how they're bred, about the lineage of the dogs. Those are the breeders that I have always dealt with. And then there are puppy mills that will breed just about anything, and we've certainly read enough about the puppy mills to know that those people should be put in jail. And then there are pet shops where you can buy dogs and you don't really know where they came from. So you're somewhere across in the middle.
The ones I don't breed, Your Honor, myself, are the big giant breeds or large breeds.
Well,
they're kind of hard to do, but I do carry a retinue of 200 stud dogs in the back on an acre. It's really a lovely place. You should come and see it sometime, and then you get
200 stud dogs, all different varieties.
Not all different varieties. There's over 300 types,
50.
and I only have, I would say, probably 20 to 30 at most.
Did she tell you she was not the breeder?
Yes, she did, Your Honor.
What did she say to you?
She said she got it from a breeder and that she doesn't know if it has any genetic diseases or anything else like that. That comes from the breeder.
And did you take it to the vet right away?
I took it to a vet, had it looked at. The dog wouldn't eat. I brought the dog back to her.
This was the first dog?
The first dog. Brought it back to her. She force-fed the dog cat food. She said,
not
leave.
so, Your Honor.
She said, leave the cat. This is my daughter.
I was here throughout the whole thing. We did take the dog to the vet. The reason why we put it to sleep, she could not walk. She collapsed in front of her cash register. And she told us, bring the dog back. They can live 4 or 5 good years. That dog can still be bred.
No.
You did so.
No.
You called me a liar. You said you did not force feed that dog, and I stood there and watched you shove your fingers down that lab's throat.
Just a second.
Judge Judy will return in a moment. This father and daughter loved and lost one dog, then another, after buying them both from this kennel owner. Now they want them to pay for their grief.
So he came to you and you said you can select another dog.
I give a warranty to that effect. Whether
So
the man
you
wants
gave
to
him
stand
another
behind
dog.
it, Your Honor, I would do it as a conscientious person.
Good. You gave him another dog. This time they took home a pug.
Yeah.
How old is that puppy?
It was born March 20th. That was a sister to the one that I replaced. He gave me $150 because it wasn't of equal value.
So you gave him a pug. What happened? And the pug got sick and the pug
Right.
had to be put to sleep. And your vet bills here, including the cost of the dogs, all total $2,000.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, why shouldn't you be responsible for that?
Because he brought the puppy back to me. We got it well. Dr. Smith was waiting there that night. When
What did you think he killed? Do you think he killed this dog, this second puppy?
No, dear.
That's
what
what
I
you
can
said.
tell you about, just a minute, ma'am.
You said
I
that it's
don't
our
even-
fault that dog got sick. You
This
said
is-
that.
Listen to me. A baby and a pug puppy, they're tiny toys. They have to be fed correctly.
We fed it correctly.
Please, ma'am, I
Don't
never
call
did
us
business
liars.
with you. I
We
never
gave
did
you-
business
you
with
gave,
you.
you
I
gave,
did.
you
I was there
gave
every
us
time.
the food that you were feeding it. We
I
brought it
always
home and
give
it
them
wouldn't
food,
eat.
Your Honor,
We
so
gave them
that
the
they
same
will eat it
food.
correctly. But they can't
She
romp it
wouldn't
to
eat.
death, and they have to. How come the other two sisters lived
That
and we
was
got
the one we initially picked out, actually, because of the
Ma'am,
sore on the hip.
but
You
you
gave
know,
us the
it
wrong
didn't have
dog.
a sore. It still got a
So it's
curly
our fault
kid.
that dog got parvo and died?
Ma'am, I can't. I have a bad heart, and I like to be able to talk quietly
Look
to you
at
and
the
tell
hell
you the
you've put
facts.
us through.
Listen,
We've lost 2
about
dogs
you
in
talk.
2 weeks.
Madam, why don't you let her finish?
See, Your Honor, Dr. Centeno told me that he took it to, it had eaten something, and that's why it had irked up and had diarrhea and had, that's why it was dehydrated.
My problem, Ms. Wagner, is that these two people look like pretty responsible people. It doesn't look to me as if they bought a dog. You have any small children at home?
My wife babysits.
Yeah.
How old are the children that you babysit?
2 years old.
And is the dog around the little children?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, is the dog being abused? Was either of the dogs, the second dog, being
Your Honor,
abused in your
Mrs.
home?
Wagner said that we are the only people that she's ever had any problems with. I've got proof here that she's been sued 9 times in the last 3 years.
Ms. Wagner, have you been sued 9 times in the last?
Ma'am,
Have you been sued at all in the last 3 years
I
over your
would tell
puppies?
you that I was on city council. I wasn't running my own place. Someone else had my place. I defended everything because they took my place back. And I defended everything and I made everything right. But
So
it wasn't, I wasn't there.
Your kennel was in fact sued 9 times.
I don't know that to be a fact, Your Honor, because I wasn't running my own place.
Well, who was running your place, Ms. Wagner?
I was gone 8 hours a day, and I had people there running it. It was
Well,
like
that's
a
a problem
foster
when you
son.
have all those dogs, madam. You're supposed to take care of it. You know, dogs are
Well,
very
but I
delicate.
had 11 people there doing it and being paid a salary to do it.
Evidently, they weren't doing it right if 9 people seem to have trouble with your dogs.
She's ready to rule. Stay tuned.
Miss Wagner, let me tell you this.
Yeah.
I've looked at the documents, I've read your complaint, I've read your answer. People buy animals and, you know, they fall in love with them. They fall in love with them after 24 hours or after 12 hours of their being in their home. You don't hire 11 people to take care of dogs, to take care of kennels like...
200, Your Honor.
There should not be 200 dogs in your kennel, madam.
It's a
that
big business.
smacks to me of a puppy mill.
No. They're
Well,
all
it
dogs.
may not smack to you as a puppy mill. It smacks to me as if you are running an operation and don't necessarily consider the best interests of all these dogs that are in your backyard as primary. Because if you are an older woman with a heart condition, you shouldn't be involved with 100 dogs in your house all the time. You want to have a little business? Set up a little business. But these people came to you in good faith to buy their dogs. They got 2 sick animals. They tried very hard to get both of those animals well, and they spent a lot of money in the process. You owe them the money for the dogs, and you owe them the money for their vet bills. The judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000. That's all.
Thank you very much.